So hello again, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's really a delight to be with you here in Warsaw, and I'm looking forward to exploring Warsaw. I know myself and some members of the team who've come here for the first time as well this weekend. Welcome to all of you. I know that many of you have come from local regions and many of you from further afield as well. And we're all here to talk about boosting generational renewal in EU agriculture, improving access to finance for young farmers. I did actually also have to ask, what is the definition of young, and are we still in it or not? Anyway, my name is Lisa Burke. I don't think I do qualify, actually, but I am delighted to be your moderator here today. Let's take a look at the program. So you'll have the program already on your badges, and you can see that we're going to have some wonderful speakers, including testimonies from young farmers. And through the panel discussions, I'm hoping that we will have time for questions from you in the audience. And now that I think we have all of our speakers in the room, we can go directly to welcome them onto the stage. So pleased to give you a formal welcome. We have Christophe Hansen, Commissioner for Agriculture and Food from the European Commission, Gelsomina Vigliotti, Vice President from the European Investment Bank, and Stefan Krajewski, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development of Poland. So please welcome the three of them to the stage. And actually, Commissioner Hansen, I think you're going to start with the opening remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Minister Krajewski, Vice President Vigliotti, representatives of the European Investment Bank, dear young farmers, bankers, policymakers, and all those helping shape Europe's future and Europe's food security. And it is a pleasure to be with you here today. And after welcoming many of you already in Brussels at our event in March, I am now delighted to join you as well here in Warsaw. And it is not a coincidence that we are meeting here in Poland today, because more than 21% of Polish farmers are under the age of 40, nearly double of the EU average. And 25% of the young farmers in the European Union are actually Polish. So this is a success from which we can and we should learn from. And these dialogues are indeed crucial to identify new pathways, ensure that every young farmer across Europe has the means to invest, to innovate, and to build viable businesses, and guarantee that the needs of young farmers will be sufficiently backed up in the coming national and regional partnership plans and national strategies for generational renewal in agriculture. European agriculture operates in an increasingly complex environment. Market volatility, climate change, rising production costs, and in spite of these vulnerabilities, young farmers remain risk takers in our farming community. But when they invest, it is not for 3 or 5 or 6 years. They often invest for 10, 20 or 30 years. And they need us to match this reality, so to invest with confidence and receive the support to turn their ambition into reality. And this is why access to finance is at the heart of our agriculture agenda and a key pillar of the generational renewal strategy adopted in October 2025. And the figures speak for themselves. More than 4 out of 5 farms report significant increases in production costs. The financing gap affecting young farmers is now estimated at 14.2 billion euros. And at the same time, the sector is evolving. The share of farms using bank financing has increased from 1 in 6 to nearly 1 in 4 right now. And the willingness to invest therefore exists. The business spirit exists as well. But access to finance has not kept up pace. More than one loan application out of 2 submitted by young farmers is actually refused. And this is not only a challenge for young farmers, it is as well a missed opportunity for Europe. And the good news is that we know that solutions do exist. At European level, significant resources are already available to support investment in agriculture and in rural areas. Under the current CAP strategic plans, financial instruments amount around 1 to 1 billion euros. Under the last rural development programs, loans and guarantees with 447 million EAFRD contribution generated more than 2.1 billion in investments by the end of 2024. And this demonstrates the strong leverage effect that financial instruments can create. And this is exactly the kind of leverage we need. Financial instruments can successfully mobilize additional investment for farmers and rural businesses, while easing also pressure on both European and national budgets. As member states prepare their future national and regional partnership plans, the challenge is not simply to make finance available, it is to ensure that it is as well accessible, well-targeted and adapted to the realities of farming. And this means reaching those who face the greatest barriers to investment, particularly the young farmers. And it also means broadening the range of products available to support priorities such as sustainable agriculture, digitalization, energy efficiency, and innovation. And ultimately, financial instruments only deliver results when they are used strategically, structured very effectively, and reflecting in their implementation the realities of the agriculture business cycle. And this is why dialogue between farmers, bankers, and managing authorities is so important. In Brussels in March, we came together to diagnose the challenges. Today, we are moving from dialogue to delivery. Together with the EIB, the EIF, and FICOMPAS, we are launching a package of practical tools, including a catalogue of lending schemes and financial products across Europe, as well as practical toolkit on business planning and loan applications. And in the coming months, we will also launch the EU-wide survey on access to finance, helping member states prepare future national and regional partnership plans. And under the future CAP, we are proposing a dedicated starter pack for young farmers, complemented by opportunities under InvestEU and the future European Competitiveness Fund. To conclude, ultimately, what matters, ladies and gentlemen, is impact on the ground. Whether a young farmer secures a loan, whether a farm invests, modernizes, and grows, whether a new generation sees a future in European agriculture. And together, we are turning now the good ideas into real opportunities. And together, we can build a stronger future for European agriculture, for European food security, and that is in the interest of all our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now, of course, we have Gelsomina, who is from the European Investment Bank.
Good afternoon. Dear Commissioner, dear Minister, dear distinguished guests. On behalf of the European Investment Bank Group, it's a great pleasure to be here and welcome you to this FICOMPAS conference organized by DIB Advisory and the European Commission DG Agri. The agriculture sector is facing a profound generational challenge. Too few young people are entering the sector, faced with enormous challenges in terms of investment needs, environment, and the need for a fair income to secure Europe's food security. With the focus on access to finance as a key constraint, particularly for young and new farmers, This conference provides an important opportunity to reaffirm the critical role that public finance institutions like the EIB and its blended finance collaboration with the European Commission and the Member States can play in supporting investment innovation and generational renewal, combining grants and finance within the framework of the Common Agriculture Policy. For the EIB Group, agriculture as part of the wider bioeconomy sector is one of the 8 priorities of the EIB Group strategic roadmap. As the European Union policy-driven bank, we fully recognize that agriculture is central to Europe's food security, environmental sustainability, and economic resilience. Without a new generation of farmers, none of these objectives can be achieved. We support the sector across the entire value chain, from farm to fork. We do so through a broad range of financing instruments, direct lending to co-financing the EAFRD programs of the Member States, direct lending to larger projects, intermediated loans and guarantees through partner banks, as well as venture debt, equity funds to support innovative companies and dedicated advisory services. Over the past 5 years, and in some cases backed by the EAFRD financial instrument mandates or through InvestEU guarantee, the bank has provided around 22 billion euro in financing to the agriculture and bioeconomy sectors within the European Union, and only in 2025, which was a record year, around 6 billion euro has been funded to the sector, reflecting our commitment. In Poland, we signed earlier this year 500 million euro loan with the Ministry of Finance as part of an overall 1.3 billion euro approval to co-finance part of the country's 2023-2027 European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development Program. Coinciding with the announcement of our priorities, we launched a dedicated 3 billion euro agricultural loan package at the end of 2024. This initiative, implemented through our partner banks in member states, is designed to specifically support generational renewal, promote gender equality, and accelerate more sustainable investment. By working with our partner banks and other specialized financial intermediaries, we are also able to reach farmers on the ground, leveraging additional financing from the private sector and supporting tailored financial products better to their needs. Progress under this envelope has been encouraging. We have already obtained approval for more than 1.5 billion euro of specific operation, of which 1 billion already signed with banking partners across the Union. These include large EU-wide banking groups, as well as smaller national financial and leasing institutions in France, in Greece, in Italy, in Portugal, in Romania, and in Spain. We have an additional short-term pipeline, including with banks and leasing companies in the Netherlands, Romania, and France, of around 1 billion. In parallel, and through our subsidiary, the European Investment Fund, we have facilitated an additional 22 billion euro in financing to the sector over the past 5 years by providing guarantees to banks utilizing EU, national, and regional mandate resources. Examples such as the INAF program in France demonstrate how national instruments can unlock significant volumes of affordable financing. And later this day or tomorrow, the French Minister of Agriculture can give us an example of this experience. Through both EIB and EIF, we have also supported investment to scale up technologies in agri-food sector, recognize the importance of innovation and entrepreneurship in the sector. This conference focuses on access to finance for young farmers, and in preparation for this, EIB advisory service, together with DG Agri colleagues, organized the roundtables with young farmers and financial institutions in March of this year in Brussels, and you hear more about this during the conference. As investment demands grow and public budgets tighten, financial instruments must be further mainstreamed. This is especially true for blended finance solutions, which combine EU and the national budgetary resources with DIB group financing and advisory support. Such approaches can improve risk sharing, lower financing costs, and make larger scale investment more attractive and feasible for young and new farmers. This is where the Fee Compass mandate and our close collaboration with DG Agri plays a crucial role. Over the past decade, we have worked closely to promote financial instruments, build capacity among managing authorities and financial intermediaries, and provide analytical and advisory support. By better combining our financing with the EAFRD grants and financial instruments, we can make EIB group financing even more impactful, incentivizing financial intermediary partners to deliver more on these policy priorities. We have ideas in this regard, which again will be discussed during this conference. Let me therefore conclude by thanking you all for our continued partnership and engagement. I wish you a productive and inspiring discussion. Together, we can ensure that Europe's agriculture remain resilient, competitive, and fit for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we have Minister Krajewski.
Madam President, dear Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for inviting me to this conference dedicated to a key issue for the future of agriculture in the EU, that is generational renewal. The age structure of farmers is critically important for agricultural competitiveness and food security. Analyses and forecasts show that even in countries that have had a favorable age structure of farmers, like in Poland, the demographic situation is deteriorating. The number of young people choosing to run farms is decreasing, while the share of older farmers is growing. This means that generational renewal is becoming one of the most important challenges for modern agriculture. It is no accident that one of the CAP priorities is generational renewal in agriculture by attracting young farmers and encouraging them to remain in the industry. We need people who will not only want to take over farms, but will also like to grow, develop those farms, and adapt themselves to new market, environmental, and technological realities. Young farmers bring initiative, energy, and commitment to agricultural activity. Usually they are better educated, more entrepreneurial, they are more willing to modernize farms, they invest, they implement innovations, and take care of the environment. As a result, farms of young farmers are typically more modern, more profitable, and therefore more competitive. This has a positive impact on competitiveness of agriculture and leads to improved food security. At the same time, people who begin agricultural activity face numerous entry barriers. Besides access to land, the most important of these is access to capital. Financial resources are essential to take over and develop farms, modernize them, and implement innovations. Crucially, research shows that economic performance in farms of young farmers receiving financial support improves faster than in farms run by young farmers who do not receive such support. Thus, the important role played by support instruments available under the strategic plan of the CAP 2023-2027. Under this plan, access to the capital needed in the initial phase of running a farm is provided primarily by the Young Farmers Premium Intervention. Investments by a young farmer under this intervention may include purchase of real estate, agricultural real estate, farm building investments, purchase of a basic herd of farm animals, investments in permanent plantings in orchards and perennial plantations, purchase of new machinery, equipment, fittings, and tools, including computer equipment. The amount of this aid is regularly increased. Currently, it amounts to 300,000 zlotys for animal production and 200,000 zlotys for plant production, or mixed production with a smaller share of animal production. The level of interest for this instrument shows how much it is needed. Since 2023 until the end of May 2026, 3 calls for applications for this support have been held, within which 10,000 applications have been filed to grant aid amounting to 2.1 billion zlotys. 8,000 agreements have been passed, and 754.6 million zlotys have been disbursed. Currently, the 4th call of applications for this intervention is underway. The Young Farmers Premium Intervention is not the only support instrument under the strategic plan of the CAP that young farmers can use. Preferential support conditions have also been provided for them under the intervention: investments on farms increasing competitiveness, grants under which young farmers are granted a higher aid intensity, and the intervention investments on farms in the field of renewable energy and improving energy efficiency, under which additional points are awarded to young farmers. Within the strategic plan for the CAP, also the intervention investments on farms increasing competitiveness financial instruments is being implemented. Support under the financial instruments takes the form of loan repayment guarantees, and the guarantee amounts up to 80% of the outstanding loan amount. Thanks to this guarantee, young farmers have a chance to obtain loans that would be otherwise unavailable or difficult to secure. Guarantees for loans are granted for investments such as modernizing farms to improve their competitiveness, supporting the processing and storage of agricultural products, and developing services for agriculture and forestry. It is important to stress that the young farmer may also use the entire amount of such a loan to purchase arable land. Additionally, under the financial instruments, an interest subsidy is offered to reduce loan repayment costs. If a borrower is a young farmer, he or she can receive a 100% subsidy on interest repayment for the first 2 years. In practice, this means that they do not have to pay loan interest. Under the strategic plan, 215 million euros have been allocated to financial instruments. It is estimated that this amount will generate a credit action worth 3 billion zlotys. By the end of April 2026, 1,350 loan agreements worth 1.26 billion had been covered by guarantees under the plan. The value of guarantees is almost 1 billion zlotys, and interest repayment subsidies amount to 173 million zlotys. Over 70% of the loan value was granted to young farmers. Another support instrument for young farmers under the strategic plan is the Young Farmer Payment with Indirect Payments. In the 2023-2025 campaign years, approximately 123 million euros was allocated for this purpose, and young farmers can also benefit from national aid in the form of partial repayment of the principal of a loan taken out to create or expand a farm. Ladies and gentlemen, past experience has shown that well-designated financial instruments effectively attract young people to agriculture and support the development of modern farms. Increasing synergy of actions on generational renewal is to be guaranteed by the National Strategy for Generational Renewal in agriculture. Access to capital, including modern financing methods, will give young people a chance to develop, will encourage them to undertake innovative ventures, and will secure the future and will contribute to maintaining food security. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Minister. And I think it's a good time for me to say thank you also to all of the amazing translators that we have here in the booth. So huge congratulations to all of you as well. It will help our afternoon and tomorrow immensely. Now, I would like to invite on stage all of the young farmers who will speak this afternoon. Sorry, all of the young farmers who will speak this afternoon for a photograph. Thank you. And they deserve a round of applause, I think also. And indeed, may I add any farmers, young farmers who will speak tomorrow also? The main photographer is getting diminished by all of those around her. Thank you, everybody. And Anna, you can stay on stage. Thank you also to our wonderful welcoming words from our speakers. But Anna is going to stay on stage. And to introduce Anna to you, Anna Czerniecka is the co-owner of Gospodarstwo Rolne. I'm trying my best to learn a little bit of Polish. I can see the smiles in the room. But if there's one thing we need to learn, if we don't speak Polish already, it is Gospodarstwo Rolne, which means farm holding.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Anna, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So it's a real pleasure to be here today. Standing here after such distinguished speakers, I realized that I can offer a different perspective, not from the point of view of the policy, but from the view of everyday life on the farm. So my name is Ania Czerniecka, and I am a mother of 4, so 3 kids and 1 dog, a farmer and an entrepreneur. So here's my story as a farmer. So I believe you can all see the, oh, thank you. Yeah, you can see the slides. So once I was starting my adult life, just right before going to the university, Warsaw Life Science University, I rather saw myself as a person working in a bank or in other financial institution wearing high heel shoes instead of being a farmer and wearing rubber shoes. However, on the very first day, I met my future husband. So I knew at that time, of course that was not the law from the first sight, not at all, but once I figured out that he is a farmer, we have a silent contract after we started to be together that we'll be back to the farm someday. So once we graduated, Once we graduated from the university, we decided to live 2 lives, as I can say. So we decided to stay here in Warsaw, however, at the same time to run the farm, which is almost 500 kilometers far away on the northwest part of the Poland. It was possible because my husband and I, we got from his father the land of 150 hectares, and he, as I can say, step down, step back, and we were managing the farm once he was the hand. He was doing almost everything there. So in 2011, we had only crops, so it was quite easy to manage, working here in Warsaw in a finance, and then each and every 3 days, every long weekend, spent on the farm and run the business there. So starting in 2011, we had only 150 hectares, and our main production was crops. So here you can see the key milestones that are very crucial for us and for our business. So in 2011, we leased our first land, 6 hectares, at that time really huge for us. Next year, we purchased 23 hectares. The next year, we bought our first agriculture machine, so it was like a combine harvester, yellow, super modern New Holland. We were really proud when it comes to that. So in 2019, we leased the land of 200 hectares so that our farm grew significantly. But still, we had only crops. But next year, we decided to have a part of that also potatoes. So we started to diversify our farm. And at that time, we knew that there's a time to be back to the farm. So having potatoes and old buildings, it was rather impossible to run the modern farm as we wanted to. So we started investment in a potato storage facility, which in fact we closed in 2024. However, it occurred quite immediately that we need another new one. So now we are doing another investment. And the last thing, the last milestones, which I am proud of, is like poultry production investment that is underway, and that is totally my project. So my husband, he's doing like the crops, the potatoes, and I'm running the production investment, so that's kind of my project. And hopefully I will close that next year. So here you can see on the slide how the farm grew during that time. So we started in 2011 from 150 hectares. Now we have 600. At that time, we had 1 new tractor, and now we have 5 new tractors and another one underway. During that time, we had only crops. Now we have crop and potato production. In 2011, we did only conventional farming. Now we are totally regenerative one. So that means that we are taking care for the soil very much. We are testing the soil. We know exactly what the soil contains and what the soil needs. And what's more, at that time we were rather traditional farming. That means that we were relying on our experience and observation. However, now, after that 15 years, we are rather smart 4.0 farming, which means that we are relying on our experience and observation. However, we are also combine that with the experience, with the technology, data, and precision tools to support our decision. So here you can see the numbers. So for that 15 years, we did an investment for about 5 million zlotys, and half of that come from European Union funding. So, of course, running a farm is running a business. So during our journey for that 15 years, we faced a lot of challenges along the way. Of course, the first is weather. So on our part of the Poland, we are missing the rain deeply. So during the springtime, when the plants need the water, desperately, we are missing them. So we have on our cell phones 5 apps. We are checking the weather all of the time. We are checking the clouds, how the clouds are moving, whether it will be raining or not. So sometimes it looks weird. But other challenge that we faced and we're still facing is market volatility. It means that the price, you all know, that the price of the fuel, all the fertilizers, growing rapidly. Once the price for our crops and the potatoes are on the same level or are even lower. So we see that the market is like unstable. Of course, we are trying to protect our farm ourselves. So we are having a contract. We are trying to do the hedge. We are signing futures, but still we are trying not to sell everything during the harvest. We are keeping our crops and the potatoes in the storages, but still it's quite risky business. So rising cost, as mentioned, access to long-term financing is something that we also face and still facing. I hope it will be like it will be better, but we have a lot of stories that I can tell you. We don't have the time to that. That we had a lot of problem with the access to long-term financing. For example, when we wanted to buy 200 hectares of land. At administrative requirements, that's something that also a lot of farmers pointed out. So that's still a problem to us. So here you can see that the challenges not that we are facing, but are the young farmers. So access to land, rising administrative requirements, as mentioned, business skills education, generational renewal, and social challenges. In my opinion, business skills are quite important because running a farm, as mentioned, is rather running a business. So without having business skills, without knowing how to protect ourselves, how to do the investment, you cannot be, or maybe you can, but for the long term, I think you cannot be like quite successful. So generational renewal is something also that is really important, as I also see that and observe in my region that a lot of like young people, they prefer to stay like in big cities. They do not want to come back to the farm, as they do not see the farm as a really good part of the business. And social challenges. I recently had a lot of meetings with farmers in my region, and a lot of them, they are pointing out that they feel lonely because they don't have a partner to live. They are facing mental problems sometimes or addictions. So I think that's also points that's supposed to be like think about. Here you can see like my picture as a woman in agriculture. So let me start from the number. So around 30% of farms in EU are managed by women. I think it's not much. It can be still more. But as a woman in agriculture, I see also a lot of problems and challenges. So let me start from the lack of role models, stereotypes, confidence barriers, and balancing family and the business. I consider myself incredibly lucky because one of my best friends, she's running a big poultry farm, and she's a head and a neck of the business, and her husband is only a hand. So, but she's doing a really good job. She's really successful in what she's doing. Apart of that, I'm a part of Agri-Women Network, and recently I met a lot of incredible and passionate women that are like running businesses in agriculture. They're running farms, they're running gardens, and that's really inspiring. Stereotypes. I can say on my example that when I am now under the project of the investment in a poultry farm, I had a lot of meetings with the companies that's supposed to like deliver the whole equipment, the construction, the air conditioning, and the firms are run mainly by men. And that's, I have a lot of problems. They do not see me as a credible business partner. So unfortunately, I had to ask my husband to come with me for that discussion, because otherwise we will have the meetings over and over again. So I think that's still one of the barriers. Confidence barrier and balancing family and business. As you probably know, running the business as a farm, sometimes you cannot take the day off. Even if the kids are ill, I need to like take them back, and we are like sometimes Uber Eats driver delivering the dinner to our employees. So sometimes it's quite hard. I'm like visiting all of the offices with them, the banks with them. Sometimes I don't have like any choice. Yeah, but that can be still the barrier, one of the barriers. Plans for the development. So as I mentioned, is investment in poultry production, farm development, because next year we want to buy another 100 hectares of old state farm. And we want to I want to engage myself in community engagement, because I see that there is a lot of potential in mostly young women who are wives of the farmers, but they do not see the future in the farming. They rather stay at home instead of like helping on the farm. And believe me, it's a lot of things to do. I am an HR department, I am doing all the paperwork, I am doing all of the accreditation, and so sometimes the 20 hours a day is not enough to do all of the work. So we are doing that with my husband. So as a word for the ending, so let me just read the sentence. So modern farming is about much more than producing food. It is about building resilient businesses, strengthening rural communities, and contributing to national and European food security for the future generations. So if we speak more openly about agriculture as a strategic sector that ensures food security and drives economic development, I believe more people would choose farming. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Anya. It was a wonderful start to the afternoon to hear what it really is like on the ground and the many hectares that you've increased over the years. So congratulations to you and your family, including the dog. Now we have a welcome video to see a bit more.
Sin el apoyo del instrumento financiero quizás no me hubiera animado a iniciarme en esta actividad, porque en principio pues bueno, era algo que no me lo hubiera planteado. Utilizamos para comprar 500 ovejas.
Un joven agricultor, un joven ganadero necesita para iniciar una determinada ayuda financiera o de un pulmón financiero propio, y al final este instrumento financiero hace también que haya relevo generacional, y la riqueza de este país al final es el campo.
Io sono nato qua e sono cresciuto qui in azienda. Fin da piccolo questi sono sempre stati i miei ambienti di gioco e di tutto, insomma. Il fondo di rotazione è stato molto importante perché ho avuto la fortuna di poter creare un laboratorio su misura per me, come lo volevo io.
Je suis associé avec mon père et ma mère. Et donc l'idée, c'était de valoriser ces zones avec du pâturage tournant dynamique. J'ai dû acheter le troupeau, puisque je partais de zéro. Donc j'ai dû financer, remettre en état tous les bâtiments d'élevage et tout le matériel nécessaire à la traite et à l'élevage des animaux. Je sortais de l'école et je n'avais pas forcément de financement disponible. C'est le Crédit Agricole qui m'a parlé de cette garantie alternat, qui me donnait la possibilité d'avoir un support de garantie financé par la région et l'Union européenne.
Είμαι η τρίτη γενιά που αποφάσισα να επενδύσω πάνω στη φυτομονάδα, γιατί θέλω να εξελίξω την οικογενειακή μου επιχείρηση πιο πολύ και να γίνω και ανταγωνιστικός πάνω στον κλάδο. Μου έδωσε την καλύτερη δυνατή τεχνολογία που υπάρχει πάνω σε αυτό που ασχολούμαι. Μου αύξησε την παραγωγή, τη διπλασίασε και γενικά είναι πολύ πιο εύκολο στη διαχείριση.
As a young farmer, winemaker, for me it's very important to have this kind of hub. It gives me the opportunity to be faster, safer, and to use the new technologies better. With the technology, I can give a lot of solutions to many problems that we have in climate change that we can find in the vineyard, and we also preserve the quality of our wine.
Os meus pais são de cá, criaram a empresa. Eu tirei uma licenciatura em Engenharia Multimédia e estive a trabalhar 2 anos em Lisboa, mas pronto, eu gosto mais de estar no campo, cá fora, e não num gabinete fechado. Antigamente tínhamos um sistema tradicional, não tínhamos nada de dados informáticos. Neste momento já podemos observar a ficha de cada uma das porcas, o que é que ela está a comer, o que é que ela não come.
Estive na Alemanha 10 anos, mais o meu marido, trabalhámos nas loterias, foram 10 anos difíceis, muitas horas de trabalho e depois, quando tivemos a nossa primeira filha, voltámos para Portugal. Tive 2 anos desempregada, então depois resolvi fazer o investimento. De eu ser mulher, também me orgulha muito, que tenho 2 filhas e espero elas se sentirem orgulhosas também de ter feito este tipo de trabalho e todo este projeto e mostrar-lhes que elas são capazes de tudo, sim, sendo mulheres.
We are family business. From Hamag Bikra I get loan for 100,000 euros. The impact that I expand my production by 100%. Now I can have 40 tons of peaches and 40 tons of pears per year. To access other loans than Hamag Bikra is impossible. Because I started last year. I don't have any books. It's the best deal you can get in ever. Someone just gave me money to make a dream.
So some wonderful stories from around Europe. And now to get to know you a bit better, who is in the audience, if you could take your phones out now, I've got a little Slido poll, in fact. So just take a QR code, and I think it's coming up now. Here we are, so Slido. And we'd love you all to get involved. It's just a little bit of feedback for us so that you get to know who else is next to you as well in the audience here. Well, here we go. First question, where are you from? We do have more than just showing here on the first page. It's just in alphabetical order, so. No surprises there. It's varying, but 2/5, almost half. Very good show up from Poland, of course. So almost half of you. I could see it anyhow when I was looking at the headsets, who can speak Polish and not. So, and I wonder if we could see what's on the other pages as well, just to see where else people are from. But effectively, we can see here most people are from local regions, which is wonderful. And thank you for welcoming us to your homeland. Italian quite strong as well. Oh, thank you. Thank you for moving it on. There we go. So a great show up from everybody here in their homeland of Poland. The second question, which stakeholder group do you belong to? And we have a few options here for you. EU Young Farmers Association, Young Farmer, or an EU Young Farmer Association. Are you from a bank, a guarantee institution, or a public development bank, a microfinance institution, EU institution, or other public authority, or you don't want to tell us at all? I think what's most interesting on this slide is to see how many young farmers we have present here. Because, of course, the point is to connect those voices to the public authorities, to the development banks, and to the banks where they can access the money. So most people here still from an EU institution or public authority, and then we have about 15% of you representing the voice of the young farmers at the moment, and 4% from the Young Farmers Association. Question 3, in one word, how would you describe today's financing environment for young and new farmers? So a new farmer doesn't have to be young, so you could be a new farmer, you could be a young farmer, you could be both. In one word, how would you describe today's financing environment? Okay. Well, I just began to see a few positives in there. So I can see what the bigger words are. And somebody said yes. I think we get a flavor of the feeling in the room. And I think we knew it before we asked the question. But it is nice to see it's peppered with some positivity and optimism as well, because that's what we want to have engendered through the course of the conversation as well. And the last question then, in your experience, what are the possible solutions to improve access to finance for young or new farmers today? The EU is the answer to everything. Okay, transparency, blended finance, dialogue between authority and agriculture, courage, easier access, common dialogue to be continued, long-term focus, trust in young farmers, microfinance is coming up a few times, advisory support, simplify the progress, flexibility. So again, a nice cloud bank there of words to describe your experience and how perhaps there could be solutions to improve access to financing. Well, to answer some of those, please welcome to the stage Kirsten Rosenau, who is head of unit for DG Agri at the European Commission, and she is going to give us a talk on the situation from the European Commission. Thank you, Kirsten.
Yeah, thanks a lot, dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What a challenge to speak after Anna. So actually going back to policy, I didn't think it was going to be that tough, but okay, I'll do my best to provide an interesting perspective also from our side. So this journey actually here is not the first step that we made, but we started this out in March. And the idea was to say, let's not talk about young farmer, let's not talk about bankers, but let's talk with them, and most important of all, maybe to facilitate the talk between them. So this is how we started out. The commissioner has already mentioned it, with roundtables, where we were actually not sitting like here. So we really had a roundtable, and we tried to have a dialogue to focus and zoom in a bit what are the challenges from both sides and what are possible solutions. And my job here today is to set a bit the scene, so to report back on what was the outcome of what we have already done, because we're not starting from zero, we're not starting from scratch. No, we have already developed, let's say, quite a base, which we can maybe take as the basis for our discussions during this 1.5 days here today, and on which we can hopefully further build. So when we started out in March, this was really a dialogue, a first of its kind. We tried to be as open and direct as possible as we could be, focused on the challenges, and we have seen the challenges are big. And I would like to thank all participants, many of which here are also in the room and can also share with us further the experience and what was useful and maybe not from the discussion that we had. And as I said, my job is to report a bit back so that we have all the common basis. So Commissioner Hansen already underlined that generation renewal is not simply just another issue. It's really a strategic priority for the future, competitiveness, sustainability, and also resilience of the European agriculture. So it's really key. So we have not been, before the last 5 years, talking so much about food security, because maybe we were thinking it was just simply not an issue. but it is. And if we want to think about long-term food security, really generational renewal is indispensable. So the objectives that we had when we started the roundtable, they were pretty straightforward. So to identify the barriers that prevent young people from entering agriculture and developing solid business through access to finance, and also to discuss practical solutions. So, I mean, what in practice works and what doesn't work that can improve the flow of financial resources to them or new entrants, and improve the creditworthiness of young farmers in the financial world. So we developed also a special report on the discussions, which we published here today. So all of it that I tell you here, and actually much more detail, you can take home, so it's available. And it tells you a lot more in detail and evidence on what is currently going on and what our young farmers are missing or needing. So while the national situations differ, the messages at the roundtable were remarkably consistent. So, I mean, we've seen all these different examples, and they're different in nature, and the situations are different, but the messages that we got were quite similar. So the challenge is not a lack of ambition among young people. We saw that with Anna. So the challenge is creating the right enabling conditions for that ambition to become a reality, and really a successful reality. So today I would like to share 4 key messages that emerged from our discussions. First, young farmers need financial products that are advantageous and designed to support their specific needs and production cycle and growth. Starting or taking over a farm is probably one of the most capital-intensive business decisions a young person can take in that sector. And young and new farmers face high upfront costs, not least in terms of modernization and innovation. So this was highlighted as one of the positive things that happens when young farmers take over. There's limited collateral, little if any credit history, and increasing exposure to market and climate risks. So predictability in this business is a luxury, and it's often just simply not there. Women, we've heard, in agriculture often face additional obstacles linked to land ownership, treatment of their business plans, and access to collateral. In young people, we must see the potential, and the potential of new farms to growth, to diversify, and also to enhance sustainability. So a potential that is really important for us at public level, but also for the banks to build on. Yet many financial products available today were not designed with these realities in mind, and they're not specific enough as they're needed. So young farmers, in our view, deserve lending under better loan conditions, even when their incomes are unstable. So this means longer maturities, grace periods, flexible repayment schedules, simplified procedures, very important, and also lower collateral requirements, probably. Above all, it means greater use of public guarantees and risk-sharing instruments, which really can help financial institutions to lend with confidence while giving young farmers access to the capital they need. So this is a little bit also our role in this. And these dedicated products, they have to also be established by our managing authorities under the Common Agricultural Policy through financial instruments. So they can be developed by banks, but also by national promotional institutions. And today and tomorrow you will hear more about that and from some of them. So we collected all of those examples and what we could find, and make them as widely known as possible. So you will find that in some of the products that we produced for the event today. So second, I was talking about 4 key messages. My second key message is that grant and loans must work together, not against each other. One of the strongest messages from the roundtable concerned the interaction between the Common Agricultural Policy grants or other grants and bank financing, no matter if given through our financial instruments or independently. So young farmers really repeatedly complained from and described lengthy and uncertain grant approval processes, sometimes lasting more than a year, and in certain cases up to 2 years. So we have to take that into account. We have to do better. For a young farmer, this is not merely an administrative inconvenience. So it's really a significant burden or abandonment. It's a significant burden that means postponement of investments, loss of business opportunities, or abandonment of projects altogether. It's demotivating. So it should not happen. So for banks, uncertainty surrounding grant decision often makes financing also more difficult. So it can lead to a refusal of a given project, in particular when young farmers' income depend on these grant payments. As a result, projects that could be economically viable on paper become really impossible to implement in practice. So young farmers and their associations called for efficient and timely provisions of the grants and asked for transparency and predictability. So particular interest was also expressed in grant loan combinations and for the EU on capital rebates, which are a new possibility that deserves further attention. A scenario where the young farmer receives the full amount of the loan, but later on, after achieving a certain performance level or target, the grant part of the loan is written off. So such approaches allow investment to start immediately while reducing the overall burden on the farmer. The debt burden, of course. So the bottom line really is that grants and loans should reinforce each other, creating a seamless financing pathway instead of being separate processes operating on different timelines with financial instruments staying blocked by administrative delays and inefficiency. So that was really a key message. The third message, another crucial aspect on which everyone at the roundtable agreed is that advisory support for young farmers is an absolute must. It is a prerequisite for building financial knowledge, long-term capacity to handle financial pressure, and ensure faster and also more structured access, probably, to finance. So it empowers young farmers with the skills to negotiate and defend their case. This was perhaps one of the strongest conclusions of the roundtable. Access to finance is not only about money, so that needs to be clear. So it's also about knowledge, it's about confidence, it's about preparation of all of this. So young farmers often need support in developing business plans, understanding financial products, and really navigating through the admittedly often quite complex grant schemes and sustainability requirements. So strong advisory services improve loan readiness, and they also strengthen business planning and increase long-term viability. And we've seen some good examples at the roundtables where actually this advice was built in by the banks already in the loan package, for instance. So some of the good examples you can further see. But advisory service, they do not stop with farmers. Banks themselves, they also highlighted, so it's a two-way road, an in-house need for greater expertise in agriculture sectors, innovative farming systems, and sustainability-related investments. So participants therefore stressed the importance of building stronger advisory ecosystems. So really a system where on all sides such advisory services are built, are performant, and actually are available. So this includes coaching, business plan diagnostics, financial literacy support, one-stop shop approaches that help farmers navigate finance, grants, and regulations in a coordinated way. So let me in this context also mention that with our support instrument, Fee Compass, we already try to help our managing authorities through the targeted coaching services that we offer, surveys, analysis, and reports. But we cover only one layer of the whole system, so special attention is also needed to women in agriculture for advisory who may benefit from targeted advisory and financial support designed to address persistent structural barriers. So that we also heard from Anna. So we hope that in the future, so this can be done without the husband and with strong support from other sides. Fourth and last, equally important in our view is the conclusion that young farmers need integrated solutions rather than isolated ad hoc created financial products, and let alone such projects of a short temporary nature. So starting a farm rarely involves a single financial need. That was really demonstrated very well. I mean, there's these different phases of expansion, the different investment needs you have throughout the lifetime of the project. So young farmers often require funding for land, buildings, machinery, working capital, sustainability investments, and professional advice, often at the same time. Yet financing is frequently delivered through separate financial streams that do not communicate necessarily with one another. So this fragmentation creates complexity and also leaves gaps in financing. As a result, many young farmers continue to rely on short-term and limited financing, such as supplier credit or overdrafts, to manage their needs. While useful to address immediate liquidity needs, of course, these solutions rarely support a medium to long-term perspective and the business development in a more medium and long-term way. So that is really needed. So agriculture needs integrated financing packages and approaches that combine loans, guarantees, grants, interest rate support, and advisory service in a coherent offer tailored to the needs of young and new farmers. These packages should at least last for a couple of years to achieve any meaningful impact in our view. So member states who have to develop their national generation renewal strategies in the coming months will profit, I think, from what we have already developed here and what we will develop further in these next couple of days. So there's a need for detailed, targeted analysis that encompasses the whole financial and advisory system in a given national context, and finds the weaknesses and additionalities that are missing and need to be addressed through European, national sort, or any related measure. In this context, so let me just mention, for instance, the proposed starter pack for young farmers under the future Common Agricultural Policy Framework that offers a glimpse of integration when it comes to future CAP support. So this brings together the various types of financing, advisory services, and public policy instruments into a single entry point for the next generation of our farmers. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one overarching lesson from our discussions, it is that access to finance cannot be viewed in isolation. Generational renewal requires an ecosystems approach with three distinct ingredients. It requires 1, financial products adapted to young farmers. 2, it requires synergy in the provision of grants and loans. And 3, integrated approaches and strategy, and all this supported by advisory support. So that helps both farmers and lenders to make informed decisions. The encouraging news is that the problems are known and solutions are already available. Many of them exist today in different parts of Europe. Our task is now to scale them up, simplify them, and make them more accessible and known. Because that is very often the issue. So it's really about ensuring that talented young people can see a future in the farming, can invest with confidence, and can contribute to a competitive, resilient, and sustainable European agriculture sector. So the roundtable discussions demonstrated that farmers and financial institutions share these objectives, and the challenge is not a small one, but we have identified it at least, is one in turn that this shared ambition, we have to put it into action. So thanks a lot, and looking forward to all your additional solutions proposed.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. And now, please welcome for our first panel discussion 4 speakers. And I'm hoping also that you can get involved. And after our first round of questions, I'll open the floor to you. So please welcome to the stage Rudolf Pulkstenis, who is Vice President of SEJA. Thank you, Rudolf. Lovely to welcome you back onto the stage. We also have Agnieszka Maliszewska, first Vice President of Kojeka, Hayes Schultheis, who's the Director for DG Agri at the European Commission, and Frank Lee, Head of the Advisory Financial Institutions Division at the European Investment Bank. So welcome to all of the speakers here. I'm going to start with you, Rudolf. Lovely to see you again. And I know that you have a very important voice as Vice President of SEJA. So now that we have the EU strategy for generational renewal, how do you, representing SEJA, see the future involvement of young farmers in both national policy, but also the political dialogue with respect to the national generational renewals?
So, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start with thank you to all of you, because it's my 3rd year in the FICOMPAS, and I have seen that you have heard us a lot. I see that there is really good involvement within the process, and really agree on that we need to scale it up and put in practice. So, and regard your question, I would say that we have heard that some member states have started the work of national strategic plans of generational renewal, also involving our member organizations. But we will need to look into this process, and we watch a pulse on that. And of course, we hope for the good strategies on national level, not like 1,000 pages. It's not what we need. It's like really compact, specific, precise strategies within 2-3 pages that we want to achieve and how we will achieve it. And I think if we will see that there is some member states that don't really look into this opportunity and task seriously, we will definitely let you in Commission know about it.
And how can you encourage young farmers for their voice to be heard and to be actively participating, actively involved in this preparation?
It's magic. I have no precise solution, but I think we all are encouraged to make some changes, because we have seen that in the past 5-10 years, the situation has not been in our favor. So we are eager to change it in the way we want to see it in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Well, I'm going to move to Agnieszka, because you mentioned 5-10 years. You even mentioned 20 years. Let's stay with 5 to 10 years. Agnieszka, lovely to see you again as well. So, representing Copa Cogeca, how do you see, as the voice of Copa Cogeca here on the panel, the generational renewal in agriculture with the 5 to 10 year projection horizon line?
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for the fantastic event, invitation, and soon I will speak in Polish language, because we saw that almost half of the audience is Polish language people. So first of all, I agree with my colleague that it's not easy to talk about these challenges and everything after Anna. She has a fantastic presentation, fantastic speech, and she also touched my heart, very, very emotional information, because I saw how difficult the women and the ladies have in the Poland. So coming back to Copa Cogeca and your question, can I speak in Polish language? Yes, I think it's possible at now. Shortly, bardzo się cieszę, że
First of all, I'm incredibly happy to speak on behalf of Copa Cogeca. It is incredibly important for me, because we, as Copa Cogeca, we are supporting the young people, young generation. In 2023, we signed a manifesto from Tarragona in which more than 23 postulates were formulated as important elements to be able to support young people, how important it is to support them. Today, we can speak of incredibly important aspects of putting together different types of funding, how important it is to have access to knowledge, how important it is for young people to be supported. At the end of the discussion about wonderful farming, about sustainable farming, farming full of passion, well, we need to have money. People need to have money. Young people need to have money to put this passion in practice. And in their case, this passion is a way of life. It is an incredibly difficult way of life, incredibly demanding way of life. And this also is not about involving one or two people from one family, but often the entire family. So Copa Cogeca, for different activities that we undertake, like the things that we discussed in the manifesto about very clear declarations of support for young people. We want to walk with them through all the hardships connected to running of a farm. But we are also a voice within the European Commission, just like in the European Parliament and all other institutions, where we stress how important it is for young people to act. And this generational renewal is incredibly important. More than 40% of young farmers, these are in Poland people who are below 40, but the European average is approximately 60 years. What will happen in 10 years if we do not give different support mechanisms to young people? Well, we will be disappearing farms all over Europe, and then we will have to import food from third countries because we have to provide our citizens with food. So these are the elements that I wanted to mention above all. And then later on, if you allow me, I will go speak about barriers and obstacles that women encounter in agriculture.
You can have a few moments now to tell us about the barriers.
Yes, it's fantastic. Okay, I will use this 3 minutes, okay? First
of all, I want to say that, well, the stereotypes that Anna referred to, well, often they go deeper. And from the point of view of an older colleague, that is me, who is has more than a dozen of years of experience, I would say that there are much more obstacles. It's not about mentality. It's often quite prosaic. It's like access to purchase land. We often see that a single woman, for example, who would like to run a farm or who is already running a farm has a lot more difficulties as regards access to land, which is incredibly important. And these obstacles are often created by banks. For example, if you look from the perspective of a woman or women who are leaders in farms, they often decide, even though a farm may be registered for a husband, they are often the bosses of the farm. They have difficulties with accessing land. We also speak about barriers or obstacles that Anna referred to, like during negotiation. Younger women are often treated like, excuse me for saying that, like this lady probably came here to serve coffee. And well, it's not the case. And well, we keep on saying that women have to be taken much higher, so to say. We often have better education than men. We have great knowledge on farming, on management, and we want to use these assets on equal level. So it is also my purpose in the work that I do.
Very strong statement and understandable again. Clearly, it's resonating in the room, and I'm just going to lean on it a little bit because my question was opening up about generational renewal in the next 5 to 10 years. But given what you've said, given what Anya said on stage, do you think there needs to be a subset of that conversation? Because we need to bring everybody up together. And it sounds like at the moment, not everybody is rising together. And so how would you make sure that women can be taken more seriously at the younger ages so that they're not perceived to be the people serving the coffee in the room, so that all of these wonderful instruments and ideas can be equally served?
So, po pierwsze myślę, że musimy
Well, we have to remember well, we have to treat these instruments on different levels. We have to combine them in one instrument, easy to be applied, that will allow us to put together everything that is present on the market. I mean, all those opportunities, so that to present it on the table and say, well, you are a young person, you can use this or this or this. And we, banks or financial institutions or organizations, we will help you do it. Because you are here to do your job, meaning run the farm, and not to spend most of your time at a desk, at a computer, so that many elements connected to greater administrative hurdles or difficulties stemming from very complicated applications, to do all that. It has to be simple, it has to be easy, and it has to be effective. And a farmer or a woman farmer can deal with it very well, and we have to help them in dealing with those complicated processes. Often they do not have enough time to go through all of this. So let's put it all together, let's make it simple, and we should offer them the possibility to reach all the instruments, and then we'll have a success.
Apply it quickly and then I'll move on to my next two speakers. Yes.
I really enjoyed this approach, but I think we miss one important aspect. It's a third one. It's a combination in farming where men and women work together. Because
it will be fantastic, but look at the situation at the moment. How many men in the countryside, in the farming, you have that they're looking for the wife. And it's not easy.
Both ways.
Talking about
yes.
the TV series
yeah,
now, that's
still,
why it's such
it's not only
concept.
men or women in farming, it's also a third one, combination of both of them in farming. We need to look in statistics in that.
We have all of the scenarios on the table, and Hayes, turning to you now, coming from the other end of the spectrum, from the European Commission, we have the proposed 6% ring-fenced allocation for the generational renewal. It is a very strong political signal, but it has to be implemented by the member states. And so what political commitment do you think is needed by the EU, but particularly from the member states, to make sure it is a stated priority and becomes a funded reality from the member states?
Yeah, thank you very much. Indeed, dedicating money in the common agricultural policy to young farmers is key for delivering on all the promises and all the ideas and the important priorities that are being discussed today. So we have recommended that 6% of a ring-fenced agricultural budget is going to young farmers. In the Parliament, some members of Parliament have now come with a higher percentage, 8, 10, there is various figures being discussed. So this is really part of the political debate now. And your question being, is this a political priority? For us, clearly, you've heard Commissioner Hansen this morning. Basically, the first day he came in, even before he was inaugurated or voted in as Agriculture Commissioner, he said, this is my priority. I want to make helping young farmers and increasing the share of young farmers in Europe the absolute priority of my time as Agriculture Commissioner. He developed this strategy for generational renewal, and he is going on and on about this. And we are running behind to make sure that we can deliver and follow up. And money is a big part of that. But it's also about the strategy. So maybe to link into the discussion that we just we just heard. So the financial aspect is one, but I think we should not underestimate that this strategy is about 5 priorities. So we're talking here to access to finance, which is absolutely crucial, but there's also access to land, of course, closely linked to the financial aspect. Knowledge, super important, but also the intergenerational transfer. So, you know, we also need to make sure that there's a good retirement and a good way out for the older generations. And then that's the point I wanted to come to. The fifth one is everything has to do with rural areas. And particularly when we talk about opportunities for men and women, and men looking for women or women looking for men or whatever, it needs to be an agreeable place to live, right? And that is not always so easy. And so I think we really need to think holistically when we discuss about future of farming, and particularly on women. We have possibilities for prioritizing aid for women in the Common Agricultural Policy, and we've launched a platform for women in agriculture. We're having the first meeting on the 30th of June. 600 women across Europe have signed up, and I was pleased to hear that Anja in her opening remarks was actually referring to networks of women that can help working on the business plans of a farm and working on growing a farm. And hopefully we can inspire many more women with this platform throughout the Union.
I think Agnieszka is eager to step in.
It's only one. Sorry. Thank you for the platform. I'm also a member of this platform, yes, and Bożenka and part of the women also. It's very, very important for the ladies and for agriculture sector. How it will be possible to share information. It will be possible to share our knowledge, our experience. And let's see what will be in the end of the day. But I'm sure that it will be not only discussion, it will be also good result for the ladies, for the women. It will be very big benefit for agriculture sector and the agriculture woman too.
Hayes, just another little question to you then. When we have great ideas and platforms being set up, do you think it is important for the European Commission or European policy even to recognize or perhaps even reward good templates, good business models that can be replicated in other areas?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, on the financing part, we see already here that we are trying to replicate ideas about how we can construct financial instruments and how this can be used. Some of you may have seen the brochures and the QR codes that you can find outside. If you scan the QR code, you see how certain farms have benefited from certain financial instruments and how it has been done. So we are here in the business of replicating. But more broadly, we are really looking at, we discuss an on-farm sustainability compass. So we are trying to measure, we're trying to set up the language on how to measure sustainability. You all know that measuring sustainability is difficult. Everybody understands something else. And we believe it's very important to ensure that we have a better understanding of what sustainability means, that you can also transfer, for example, transfer it to somebody who buys your product or to a financial institution who may want to know how resilient your business is, how you run your business. And measuring this in a good way is very important. And we are now working with member states, but also with the agricultural sectors, the different sectoral organizations and specialists around how to do this, how to develop this language, and then we hope also to promote this throughout the Union so that we get a better standard of sustainability, and hopefully that will also help agriculture in Europe forward.
Thank you. Frank, you've been silent so far, but no longer. What's the role of the EIB group here? What does the EIB group think about young farmers and European agriculture?
So I think, well, I mean, a lot has been said already, and I guess what I'm going to say is a bit of a repeat, so I'll try and keep it short and sweet. I think, so EIB Group, as most people know, well, we're an EU institution, and we are relatively good at some things and maybe not so good at other things. So the trick here is really to take advantage of what we're good at, and more importantly, work with our partners on the ground where I think we're perhaps less good. So what do I mean by that? So as you heard today from our Vice President, the EIB has made agriculture and bioeconomy a key strategic priority for the group, so EIB and EIF. That's obviously a very important start, and as a result of that, as we've already seen in 2025, we've actually increased our lending to the sector, so the impact has already been immediate. On top of that, we launched, as was said by our Vice President, a 3 billion lending envelope for the sector, which will be delivered through our partner banks. And this is the point at which our advantage, as it were, disappears, and we look for advantage of others. So what do I mean is that essentially we can provide, and we are quite good at providing, relatively large amounts of money on a relatively standardized format. And we do that because we're an EU institution. We work across all the member states, and we work obviously very closely with the Commission, and we try to align our eligibilities, our priorities, our areas with them. But when it comes to what's happening on the ground, this is where a lot of diversification happens, some of it good, some of it not so good. And I think the message that is resonating today is that we need to try and bring all that back together to create a common toolbox that can be provided through our intermediary partner banks, whether it's national promotional banks or the commercial banks that we work with, in order for them to basically provide this kind of one-stop shop approach. This seems to be resonating all the time. Agnieszka made the comment that for the poor farmer, they have so many challenges. For me, it was equally inspiring to hear Anna's intervention. I mean, I come out of it thinking, why the hell would you want to be a farmer? But there's obviously a reason why these people do want to be farmers, and in a way, we need to extract the driving force that seems to be beneath the surface, which is clearly there. Because if you just look at this from a pure challenge point of view, as I say, I wouldn't want to be a farmer myself. But it's obviously there, and but I'll leave that aside for a moment. My world is just to make sure that the financing is going to be as easy to get as possible. And financing and funding. So we're talking about getting access to the grants, getting access to the cheap long-term funding, and all the things that go alongside that, the guarantees, the interest rate subsidies. But again, a very important part, the advisory support. This was also mentioned by Anna, the need for advisory support to the young farmer who needs to be a bit more business savvy, commercial, understand how business plans work, needs this as well in order to have the conversation with the banks. But what we found out actually in the workshop that we had in March is that equally the banks need a lot of training and advice because often they don't have specialists in this area. And we need more banks to be able to do that. We need to diversify and increase the interest from the banking sector more generally to actually support this sector, right? So we bring standardized products, we bring critical mass scale. Clearly, we need to work through the partners, and we need our partners to bring this together. So we need alignment on eligibilities. So what is eligible for a grant needs to be the same as what's eligible for the financing. The guarantees need to come on top of that, of course, in order to reduce risk for everyone, to be able to provide this long-term financing, often which is needed for land purchase, of course. And then, interest rate subsidies, all those things that you saw coming up in the word cloud. The good news is that we're hearing exactly the same messages wherever we go. So hopefully we're on the right track. And now we need to make this work for the next MFF.
Thank you very much. So I think we need to add on to this slider for tomorrow morning. For the 15% of the audience who are young farmers, why do you want to be a farmer? But we don't want to discourage you in any way. We want to make sure it's optimistically supported. Now, some questions from the floor. And if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand, stand up, a microphone will dash to you, and so will the camera. I'm sure we have a microphone roving in the room somewhere. If not, Balázs, could I kindly ask you to... Oh, there is a microphone behind you, it's coming, sorry. Thank you. And if we could try to get the microphones, if you can keep your hand up if you want to ask a question so that we know where to take the microphone as soon as possible, because we've only got 10 minutes for questions. We need you to stand up for the camera.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Marijana Baršić-Barun. I'm from Croatia, Hamag Bicro. We are an agency for SMEs. Actually, I have a very concrete question for the colleague from EIB Bank. How do you force the banks to reduce collateral requirements? And please give me some examples. Thank you.
So she's asked a concrete question. She wants a concrete answer, Frank. And if anybody else wants to ask a question, please put your hand up now so that the microphone can go to you. Frank.
I'll try and answer the question, but I have some colleagues from the European Investment Fund that may actually have better answers than I do, but let's see. How do we force them? Well, we force them contractually. Simple as that. In the sense that what we say is if we're giving you a guarantee...
Okay, just then give me, maybe if you can give me what is your secret, because when we negotiate...
Please stand up for the camera, thank you.
When we negotiate with banks, we actually... I mean, this is something that we do for the last 30 years. We give them collaterals, guarantees, but the amount of the collaterals that they take are actually the same that they would take with or without our guarantee. So how do you do it?
So you mean that even though you're giving them a guarantee, they're still asking the farmer for mortgage security or whatever it is? Yeah.
So maybe you are doing something very good that we are not doing. So what is that? Please help us.
Well, again, to be honest, I mean, as EIB group, we are obviously, to some extent, one step or one level above all of that, in the sense that we are, sometimes we're working one above you, for example. So we pass these obligations on. But essentially, yeah, in essence, the best way to do it is contractually oblige. So for example, if we're offering a guarantee product, the banks that come to us asking for this guarantee product have to set out in writing how will the guarantee essentially be used and how will it result in some sort of benefit being passed on to the farmer.
Frank, now, I can lend you a little bit of EIF support. Yes. You asked for EIF support.
All right, well then I'll stop and I'll let my colleague jump in.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Indeed, I think it's maybe better to talk from the EIF perspective because we are providing guarantees. So then that's something very different, right? Because if the bank is providing funding, so basically liquidity, I find it a bit difficult, right, to force the commercial banks. But when you provide guarantees and you provide a guarantee that will basically replace the collateral for the bank, you do need to enforce contractually with the partner banks that actually they will use your guarantee and they will reduce collateral. And in the EIF, for example, we have several ways of passing through, so the bank should not remain with the benefit of your guarantee, basically. So it needs to be contractually...
Of course, we have contracts, that's normal, but the thing is that they will take the mortgage and they will take our guarantee of 80%.
So I'm going to just move to another question because I think we've pinpointed a sore spot that can be discussed further in the coffee break. But thank you for raising it because clearly there's work to be done on that topic. Question at the back of the room. And do keep your hand up so that we can get maximum number of questions in the few minutes before the coffee break, which I do not want to diminish in time because it's so important.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michał. I'm a young farmer from Poland. Actually, I started a few months ago. And I wanted to ask a question. Do we remember about the smaller farms as well? Because ability to get fundings and loans for bigger farms, that's easy. However, for smaller farmers who are starting without any background, it's not that easy, actually. Like with the banks, I had a conversation. With advisors, I had a conversation. Nothing available for you. So what should we do? And there's more and more people interested in buying a land, buying a farm, but in a small scale. Also to like fulfill the politics of European from field to fork, right? So how we can address this problem?
And whilst you have the microphone, why would you, you've given us one answer, why do you want to be a farmer?
Well, that was our dream with my partner, and we want to create something that will help us to live, maintain, have a good quality of food as well, and to be able to grow. So something of our own, not like in corporate world, because that's our background. So yeah, to develop in that area, it's something different, something of our own. It's different touch with nature, actually.
And when you categorize the size of small farm, do you mean small for your own household or small in order to be a business model to sell?
to sell actually, and the average size of Polish farms is around 11 hectares. In my region, that's 8. And actually, I do not have that, and I'm not eligible for the young farmer fund. So it creates problems actually, and it doesn't allow me to grow further.
Well, Gijs.
Yeah, I think so. It's a very good point. Precisely, if you want to have more young farmers, we need to also have smaller farmers and support them, potentially also to grow bigger. I think from the Common Agricultural Policy point of view, we have dedicated scheme for small farmers. We also, in our proposal for the future, ask member states to target better, including towards smaller farms in terms of income support. So in that sense, we address, in my view, the concern that we need to share the support that is there in a better way. At the same time, I think it's key to have a business plan, whether you are small or big. And of course, that will be the basis for investment support, for financial instruments. And I think that is something that is maybe more difficult to develop. And so that's also why we need advisory support and support the young farmers who are starting on a smaller scale to support them in developing this business idea, developing how you can sell to the market the products you want to produce, and also how you can add value. I think we have to really think about this in an entrepreneurial way, and I'm quite sure that some of the financial specialists in the room are also very experienced in particularly helping smaller businesses in growing and starting up. And indeed, some of the examples that we are showing in the material that has been prepared for today's conference are about also smaller enterprises. Hopefully this answers at least some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gijs. Agnieszka.
Thank you. Only one suggest, because I agree with you that the young people, especially young people which didn't have any experience and any families, farm families, they have also problem with to buy some land. But maybe in this case, agri-cooperatives is a good answer for this situation and to support you as a group of the people who are working together. Of course, all people have farms, and maybe for sale, for all this type of problems, it will be a good solution to establish, develop agri-cooperatives.
Thank you. That's a very good point about the cooperatives. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Well then, very briefly, maybe let's just lean on that point about the cooperatives. Can you tell us a little bit more how cooperatives concretely support young farmers to access financing, which is precisely what his question is about?
Thank you for the question. Okay, I will speak in Polish, okay? Like this example, like your situation.
That's English.
This is the problem, yes.
Just like in your case, the creation of a cooperative that would allow you to have access to funding. Copa Cogeca, we are there also to support you. The idea behind it is to get benefits from it. Money is there to, not only as young people, to help you pay for the cost, but also to allow you to function like your colleagues function in the city, so that you can purchase a car, you can go on holidays, or maybe entrust a part of the work to your employees. The difficulties you're talking about stem also from the fact that you do not have stability and you do not have the positive thinking as regards the prospects. And this is the job for all of us present here, to say that at the end you need stable work that has prospects, that will allow you to generate benefits and will allow you to function just like your colleagues function working for big corporations. This can all of this can help you if we have clear, transparent financing possibilities, also coming from all those instruments that we've been talking about. All those instruments, all those mechanisms are to be designed in a clear way, in a transparent way, so that you, young generation of farmers, can have a guaranteed future, stability, and so that all the challenges that we are talking about would be challenges that you can cope with. Because if you cannot cope with those challenges, I am convinced you will not be able you will not want to be farmers. And I would like to have farmers like you are around me. I would like to have such farmers around me.
Resilience, a stronger EU, innovation. It leads to all of the buzzwords and the very important words of the moment. Thank you so much to the panelists. I know that was a very short panel discussion, but I do not want to eat into the coffee break time now, and hopefully you'll get a chance to speak to them one-on-one. So thank you so much, and we'll meet back here in 20 minutes. Thank you.
A inovação é muito importante porque torna qualquer exploração muito mais eficiente. E se nós não conseguimos controlar o clima, se não conseguimos controlar o preço, conseguimos controlar os custos. E aqui a digitalização, a questão da agricultura de precisão entra num ponto muito fulcral na questão da redução dos custos.
Antigamente tínhamos um sistema tradicional, não tínhamos nada de dados informados. O que foi financiado é o sistema que é autónomo, faz as dosagens do dia-a-dia automaticamente, conseguimos ter análises de dados, conseguimos ver onde é que estão os problemas e resolvê-los. A partir do momento em que uma porca não come, dá-nos um alerta ou aparece-nos a vermelho no computador. Se ela não está a comer, pode ter febre. Solucionar esse tipo de problemas, pronto, é muito importante para uma pecuária. Nós em 4 anos conseguimos reaver esse investimento. Nós agora, futuros investimentos, fazer uma nova maternidade para meter equipamento novo, outros tipos de tecnologias. Isto tudo para termos um bem-estar animal superior e mais otimização, mais eficiência. Pronto, nós estamos sempre à procura de onde é que podemos poupar o cêntimo, porque hoje em dia é mesmo muito importante estar à frente do pelotão em termos da tecnologia e apostar na tecnologia, porque faz com que, às vezes, nos maus tempos, quando o mercado do porco desce, este tipo de eficiência ajuda-nos bastante.
Sem dúvida nenhuma, com estes incentivos, com esta ajuda, com estas garantias, torna-se muito mais simples, porque não é fácil, principalmente para instituições financeiras, perceber qual é que é a importância daquele aparelho que vai promover uma alimentação muito mais eficiente. Aquele investimento que custa 1 milhão, ao fim de 3 anos está a pagar esse próprio investimento, está a poupar recursos, está a poupar energia e está a tornar a exploração muito mais eficiente. Sem o apoio deste instrumento financeiro, alguns projetos continuariam a ser viáveis. A diferença seriam investimentos com uma duração muito superior. Outros, sem dúvida nenhuma, e focando-nos muito nos jovens agricultores, eu diria que quase 100% de certeza que não conseguiriam avançar. E acho que por aí fará muito, muito sentido mantermos estes instrumentos financeiros e mantermos esta segurança para nós e para a banca e para esses agricultores.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being on time and in the room. We played that video in the hope that people might be enticed back in, but obviously real-life conversation is much more valuable, and we know that as well. So we're strict with time, only because then you can go to the drinks later on this evening on time as well. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about nothing to entice more people to come back into the room. But I do hope that you're making new friends, and I do hope that you're going to make the links and speak a common language by the end of today, because I think that's what it's all about, to learn how to speak to one another, because what we've heard through some of the discussions already this morning is the echoing of the fact that not everybody has the same language or understands the same jargon, and as was opened up by the Croatian farmer, knowing how to actually answer all of the questions that are posed in order to get the funding available as well. So welcome back to all of you. Thank you for being back in the room. Now we do have a panel discussion, and as always, I would like maximum participation from those of you in the room. So please welcome to the stage, and again, please forgive me for my non-perfect Polish pronunciation, Agnieszka Waśniewska, who's the Vice President of the Polish Bank Association. I'm trying. Do bow. I like a bow from a female. Again, we have to encourage the females because all of your comrades will be actually males. We have Jacek, Iwaniuk. Jacek. So I'm just pausing so much in the names I don't get back to what they actually do, but you can see it. You can see it on the slides as well. He's team manager for the Guarantees Development Team, Guarantees and Securities Department at BGK in Poland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that bank name in Polish. And then we have Łukasz Węgowski. So he is a young farmer from northern Poland. And we have, I love this bowing. It's a great idea. And we have another Łukasz Radomiński. It's really quite tough for me. Yes, do bow. This is a great new tradition we're just forming here. You're the Director for Credit Analyst Department at BS Bronice. And we finally have on the panel Michał Żywek, who has the easiest name for me to pronounce on this panel. Thank you, Michał. There we go. And he is Head of Sustainable Transition Finance Department at BNP Paribas, Poland. So again, I can pronounce BNP Paribas. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here on this panel. Now, I know we're going to start by having a little presentation, so feel free to make the presentation seated or at the lectern, wherever you feel most comfortable. Yes.
Yes, hello. We agreed to speak Polish, so if you don't mind, I will switch to Polish right now. Dzień dobry Państwu. Mam przyjemność zaprezentować.
Good afternoon. Allow me to present to you financing the new generation of farmers in the banking sector. I represent the Polish Banking Association. We have banks. Our members are banks, and we have a platform for agri-business financing. And we decided to carry out a survey among banks to see how they see problems and challenges connected to the financing of young farmers and the financement of generational renewal. Well, first, to save time, I will not talk about our association. We have a very long experience, but I think that those numbers will be most interesting for you. As regards Polish farming, we can say that productivity is improving. However, as regards income competitiveness, it still is below the EU average. So it is not so much of a problem that there is lack of liquidity. What lacks is long-term investments, meaning we have to make sure that farming gets more investments rather than directing instruments towards day-to-day liquidity, because it is not the biggest challenge. A big challenge as regards Polish farming is fragmented structure of Polish farms. And this makes it difficult and also prevents farms from adopting modern technologies. So this is like a bottleneck as regards access of young farmers to funding. So we see the number 137.5 billion zlotys. This is the general investment gap in Polish farming that we will have within the next 10 years. Currently, annually, this gap amounts to 12 billion and 16.2 billion zlotys. This is the estimated digitalization gap and adaptation of new technologies. Only 31, and you have those numbers on the slide, 31.6% of farms are using precision farming. This is still not much. Therefore, all the support mechanisms should be oriented at this in order to support modernization in Polish farming. We asked our banks, the banks that are members of our association, what are the biggest challenges connected with the funding of young farmers. Well, you have the numbers, 62% commercial banks, 38 cooperative banks who are very active in the agri-business. And all the banks, basically, no one has said that generational renewal would not be the most important for Polish farming. So all the banks see this problem, and they know that to guarantee this renewal is really key. If we look at what banks offer today as regards instruments dedicated to young farmers, half of them have these products and the other half does not. So this is the potential for growth in order to develop those instruments so that young farmers could have better and speedier access to funding. We asked the banks how they assess the interest in financing among young farmers in the last 5 years. The great majority of banks, they say that this interest has grown. This is a good signal. We also asked what part of the bank's customers are young farmers. And here the answers vary. 1/3 of banks say that it's 10 to 20%. However, 1/3 says that it's 20 to 30%. However, this share does not go beyond 30%. So we see that there is a lot of potential there. As far as barriers are concerned, we asked what are the most important barriers limiting the development of young farmers. Without a doubt, everyone has said lack of access to land. More than 50% of banks said so. Lack of equity, meaning this is often the precondition to have access to funding, and also high costs of investments and lack of collateral. What usually requires funding, so the major barrier that the banks identify, lack of access to land, is the area that requires external funding. So purchase of land, 77% of banks say that this is where funding is usually needed, but also the purchase of machinery or farm takeovers. It is also an important area which was indicated by the banks. We also asked the banks to see how they assess the credit worthiness of young farmers in relation to other agricultural customers. And half of the banks say, well, it is not so good. So there are the objective reasons which lead to a situation where the credit worthiness is worse, but 1/3 of the banks say we think it's the same. And what factors usually constitute a problem for young farmers in order to obtain financing is lack of equity, own funding, own funds, a small scale of farms, no collateral and no credit history. So these are the major elements that should be addressed on the level of public policy and public instruments in order to support farmers in these areas. I know that my time is up, but I'm just about to finish. There is one more question about which barriers limit taking over farms. This is also an important element, the succession element. And they say, half of the banks say that it's lack of credit worthiness of the one who is taking over the farm, but we also have this fragmentation as regards ownership. So, or lack of collateral or unregulated legal status of the farm. The majority of banks, it's to the right-hand side, they use guarantees when offering funding to farmers. And in principle, the banks say that the role of the guarantee in order to have easier access to funding in the case of farmers is very important. Is important or very important. No, more than 70% of banks say that the role of the guarantee is very important. So we really have to work on this because this is limiting the credit risk. 92% of banks give this reply. And this is also increasing the access to financing, and it also allows the farmers who do not have sufficient collateral to have this access to financing. My time is up, so I wouldn't really like to go on for too long. You will have access to this presentation, so I will just quickly move to the summary. The general conclusion from this survey for the banking sector is that generational renewal is a strategic challenge for Polish agriculture. The main barrier is access to land and succession problems. Financial instruments should play a central role in closing the agricultural investment gap. We do need credit guarantees and public-private risk-sharing instruments in order to mobilize private equity, and future CAP support should combine income stabilization with stronger investment incentives, succession instruments, and precisely those risk-sharing mechanisms. I thank you very much for your attention.
Just while you're there, I know that we're keeping everybody to very strict time, but I think I skimmed the word men on the third last slide. Was that something versus women? I'm only picking it up 3 slides back because it seems to be an...
Here?
No, it was the one before, I think that. I thought I saw the... I didn't know whether you had a female-male kind of comparative graph.
Female, no, I don't believe it.
Anyway, I must have been in my mind. Thank you. Sorry, I thought if you did have them, we would lean on it because it seems to be a sub-theme of the day to kind of like divide the subsets along the sexes. But maybe that's for the next conference. Thank you very, very much. As has already been alluded to, we do have our next speaker. Yes, I can. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me. We will continue in the same vein, meaning I will speak Polish. A few words from me. My name is Jacek Iwaniuk. I represent the Guarantee and Collateral Department of the Bank Gospodarstwa Krajowego, BGK. Thank you for the invitation of the only Polish development bank to present to you the vision of support for agriculture and young farmers. Congrats to you on the composition of the panel. We have a young farmer, we have two financing banks, we have our association. It's an ideal composition. Let's not forget the only Polish bank, developmental bank. Thank you, Agnieszka, for the kind words about the guarantee activity and the meaning of guarantees for the entire industry. So our vision, how we see it. A few words about us. BGK, we are quite old, so to say. Over 100 years of history. We've been supporting the growth of Poland for more than 100 years. We have, on the one hand, typical commercial activity. We offer loans to companies, only to companies, not to natural people, natural persons. But we also have this entrusted activity, meaning we support governmental programs in order to carry out the mission of our bank, that is sustainable growth of Poland, social economic sustainable growth of Poland. So we have a special act that is regulating our activity. We have the special mandate to use public funding to support those industries, those areas that require special support from the state. This is the model of our activity as regards guarantees. It's a portfolio model. Before the break, Agnieszka Maliszewska, that's right, she said that instruments should be simple. This is a simple instrument, which you see on the screen, was prepared in 2013. Ever since, it has been replicated in every guarantee scheme that we offer. Wherever I go, I can read the slide from left to right or from right to left, because depending on who is listening to me. Take a look. One special institution is the frame in green. This is the sponsor, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. I bow towards my colleagues from this ministry. It is thanks to the ministry that we have the funding, we have the guarantee instrument, the co-payment instrument, and my colleagues from commercial and cooperative department can offer guarantees and support the farming industry, including young farmers. Numbers. Big numbers. They speak best to show the scale of our activity. What you see on the slide is our current guarantee offer, meaning AgroMax guarantee, that's how we call it. On the left-hand side, you see big numbers, what we've managed to create thanks to our sponsor, meaning the Ministry of Farming and Rural Development. You also see how many guarantees we created. You see the volume of the guarantees, you see the volume of financing. But allow me to tell you something more about those numbers. It's the same what Minister Krajewski has said. So from 1 billion of guarantees, AgroMax granted thanks to our sponsor. 1 billion times 6, because 6 billion, this is the general support, the BGK has prepared and has made available within the guarantee for the agricultural industry. Previously, we had the the agriculture guarantee fund. When we talk about billions, it is often easy to get lost. What does it mean, 6 billion? Allow me to give you a few examples. 6 billion would allow us to build from 8 to 10 big clinical hospitals in Poland. We have 45 hospitals in Poland, so we would increase the number of hospitals by 1/4. If we look at 6 billion, it's nothing more than 1,000 big farms that get support from us. I am not a big fan of football. I'm not an expert. Football meaning soccer. I know that there is the World Cup going on right now, and the best football player, everyone tells me, is Messi. Everyone is talking about him. If we wanted to hire Messi, we could hire him from 25 to 30 years. We will not do it because we prefer to offer support to farmers. Because it is a long-term perspective. It is not for now. It is for generations. This is our mission, to offer support of social economic support. Then you see offer for young farmers. This is the subject of this conference. As you see, this corresponds to what Minister Krajewski has said, 74%. This is the total value of all guarantees of Agromax, which was granted to young farmers. This is 75% of all the guarantees. This was given to young farmers. So people tell me how this money was spent. The slide does not say it. The answer is quite simple. I don't know if anyone in the room knows it. The purchase of land. So this is what is needed now for a farmer to be able to grow, the young farmer, and also for new farmers to be able to appear on the market, like this young gentleman who was sitting in the last row next to me. So as you see, a big share of our guarantee support are young farmers. So this does correspond to what is happening on the European level. This support is necessary and this should continue. This is not on the slide, but right now we are working with the Ministry of Farming in Poland on the next guarantee. Working version is AgroBIS. Again, a guarantee for liquidity, for day-to-day needs, and young farmers will have preferential conditions to access this funding. And these are big numbers, basically public funding that we received to create a guarantee instrument, but within this guarantee instrument for farmers to get additional support. Minister Krajewski has already talked about it. What is interesting is on the right-hand side. It's the financial leverage. This is justifying our activity because 1 zloty or 1 euro of public funding given to BGK, to our bank, thanks to my colleagues in the banking sector, we had 6 zlotys or 6 euros of financing for the farming industry. This is not the biggest leverage. There is a different leverage where we have almost 17, but it's not something that we'll be debating today. 6 is already a lot. For interventions, investments in agricultural holdings to enhance competitiveness. So this is the first intervention, and this is where we have beneficiaries who are young farmers who get additional support. And this is a definition. Who is a young farmer? We have this definition together with the ministry. We created this definition. In the beginning, we had just one criterion, age, up to 40 years of age. Now we have 3 criteria, and the young farmer has to fulfill all those criteria, meaning managing a farm to have the right age and to have appropriate professional qualifications or skills. But we do not only support young farmers, because as you see, we have entrepreneurs who are active in the industry of services for farmers or forestry. This is processing, big companies who offer services, but farmers are key. This is the majority of our activity as regards guarantees, thanks to crediting banks. And direct payments, BGK is trying to be more and more innovative. At some point, we only had those portfolios, like I presented to you before. And now we offer not only guarantees, but also direct payments. And before, we only had interest subsidies. So we are moving forwards. We have also capital subsidies. Right now, a young farmer can get up to 100% of the interest payment. So it's a clear profit within 2 years. And when I visited Brussels, I participated in the roundtable, and we were wondering what it would look like in the new financial perspective. And if someone had asked me what more we could do, I think that in the new perspective, within our instrument, we could not only have interest payment subsidies, but also capital payment subsidy. I remember young farmers who went to Brussels, who were there, and they said land is the biggest cost, meaning to purchase land, and the prices have gone up. And I think that this capital subsidy, thanks to a BGK guarantee, would be a great idea. And this would be a clear facility for young farmers in order to allow them to get funding from banks. The last slide is a thank you slide. You can see where our guarantees are available. 9 logos of 9 banks. 2 representatives are to my left-hand side. They will be saying some interesting things in a minute, but it's not entirely true. I say 9, but within the 9, we have 2 groups, which is an association of cooperatives and SGB and WBS, means that not 9 banks offer our guarantees, but several hundred banks in Poland offer our funding. So it's 500 plus 9, really. This is where we operate. We work together with the Polish Bank Association, and I thank you, Madam President, for this activity. So we have a mass product. If you asked me how these guarantees and those limits that we gave to the banks are being used, well, they are basically exhausted, and we are talking to the sponsor to have more. Thank you again. Thank you for your support. I am available if you have any questions.
Thank you. I really don't like interrupting anybody. It's very much against my instinct. However, I really want to allow time for the audience questions. And I know that you can speak very, very well without interruption, cessation. You're an excellent speaker. I want to now lend the floor to a young farmer. It is Łukasz Węgowski, and he is from northern Poland.
Dzień dobry Państwu.
Good afternoon. I don't really have an experience with this kind of meetings, but I would like to share with you what we've managed to achieve thanks to your work, because thanks to you, we were able to be successful together with you. So this is why we are here. And I would like to make a comment about the previous panel. This success is not only my success as a man, also it's the success of my wife. Who is she? Is here in this room.
Is she here? Could she stand up so that we can acknowledge her presence as well? Ah, she's videoing.
So in fact, since I was a child, I've known I wanted to be a farmer. I met my wife on the way, so to say. I showed her everything. She fell in love, I don't know whether with me or with everything around me, but the person who was behind the idea of running this farm, she gave this idea of what we are doing today, meaning we are producing eggs, table eggs for all of you. So I wanted to present to you briefly what it looked like. The logo is also my wife's idea. It all started in 2011. We got married, and we decided to work in farming. In 2012, we purchased the first land. It was financed with a loan on preferential terms. 2014, we started living in the farm. In 2016, we started pig farming, open cycle pig farming, but it didn't really fulfill our expectations. And then in the meantime, we started thinking of changing the production profile, and it was my wife's idea. In 2017, we decided to purchase chickens in order to grow them to produce table eggs. Year on year, we increased the production because the demand was growing. On the way, we purchased more land, which was financed thanks to loans with direct payments. Then we got awards. In 2019, we got a special award for our production. And this activity was fueled thanks to funding that we got in 2019 to purchase machinery. In 2020, we decided to refurbish all the buildings and to modernize the buildings in order to have a packing facility, in order to reach a bigger group of customers, and also to guarantee the right quality, and to also have veterinary backup, because we were then being supervised by the veterinary inspection. This refurbishment was possible thanks to preferential terms of funding. In 2020, we got the first award for a safe farm, and we came in second in the region as regards the category of farmer. The biggest purchase was in 2024-25 when we had a loan from BGK. This is when we planned to build photovoltaic panels in order to have access to energy when there was no energy supply, because sometimes due to weather it happens in our region. We no longer had to worry about electricity. Then we continued other projects with thanks to funding that we got from the Polish Agency for Restructuring and Modernization of Agriculture. We were able to, among others, have a manure slab or a grain storage. We also won another competition, a safe farm, and also in the competition Agricola. In 2025 and 2026, we got more land, and we also not only made use of loans and interest subsidies, we also often had loans for working capital, which helped us, especially at the beginning of every new activity. Well, what was the main aim of our activity? Well, it has been the same since the beginning. We keep on growing. We want to grow our farm. Right now we have 160 hectares of arable land. One of the main purposes that we had was to collect produce in the farm, and we were able to sell the final product, the end product, and we tried to also avoid intermediaries and to work with the final customers like restaurants, and this allowed us to have a better margin, more profit, and this allowed us to go through more difficult moments in our activity. And however, the most important purpose was to use different schemes that were offered by the Polish Agency for Restructuring Modernization of Agriculture. However, there was one important tool without which we wouldn't be able even to dream of achieving all those aims. These were the bank guarantees. We had 7 such loans for working capital with this type of guarantee, and 2 investment loans. We also want to expand the storage activity. We want to have 2 more hen houses with this open air space for chickens as well. And clients also are searching for quality, better and better quality that they want to get from us. They don't want to have industrial products. They want to have good quality, fresh products from a source that can be trusted. We also plan to modernize the buildings that where we have the modern equipment. However, all these investments would not be possible with more funding, with either direct payments or subsidies, interest or capital subsidies, because this will allow us to concentrate not on fighting for repayment, but on fighting for future customers and for more growth. So this is how I see it. And this cooperation between us and the bank would be impossible if we looked only at Excel sheets. All of this was not about me filling out the application and just having an answer yes or no. I asked the bank employee to, the bank employee asked me to present my idea, how I wanted to present it, and obviously I had to give some basis for that, meaning show some proof. So I think that in the future, the financing schemes should be more longer, and we should have more flexible repayment schedules, so that such schedule would be always adapted to the idea that we have. And I think that in the future it would be worth having more meetings with young people about financing, because often young people, I will somehow, maybe it's not really on the subject, I met young people and they think that financing is about having a debt. That, well, basically, the idea behind it, however, is that this is our joint business. And young people have to be taught to approach it differently, to think differently. It's not that you are getting financing to purchase a new car, but it's about cooperating. I have an idea, you have funding, let's have a business together. This is how I see it myself. This is why in the future we want to keep on growing. We want to keep on using the funding, and we cannot really imagine our future growth without it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And as you started out by saying you're not used to being on such panel discussions, I'll wait till you can hear what I'm actually saying. Thank you so much for giving us your voice, because you've opened with it, you've ended with it in a different way. It's all about communication in the right ways and having the conversations, and we most certainly need your voice on the stage. And thank you to your wife as well for filming it all for you, and for her part in this as well. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to another Łukasz. This time is Łukasz Radomiński.
Dzień dobry Państwu. Ja także chciałbym.
Good afternoon. Allow me to thank the organizers for the invitation to this meeting, to this event. I would like to present to you our perspective. Today I have the honor to represent one of cooperative banks in Poland. In Poland we have approximately 500 cooperative banks. However, they are not the same scale-wise. There is a big diversity of cooperative banks. We are one of those bigger banks. We are managing approximately 1 billion euros, approximately 50,000 clients. We are mainly present in the north of Poland, and I would like to present to you two simple graphical information. We are present there where most young farmers are present in Poland. This is the north of Poland. And I would like to stress that our perspective on a daily basis is to put finance together with the day-to-day activity of our clients, knowing financial law, knowing its limitations and possibilities on a daily basis. As it has been said, our advisors, in a dialogue with our clients, present to them in an honest way what is possible, what is not possible, taking into account their investment priorities and their intentions of growth. In the context of the entire business model of cooperative banking, it is worth paying attention to the fact that we have the pleasure to cooperate not only with the Association of Polish Banks, not only with the National Association of Cooperative Banks, but also with the European Association of Cooperative Banks from Brussels. Its representatives are present in this room, so we can watch different business models present in Europe. Our business model is based on responsible lending. This is one of key features. We have noticed that trying to get quickly access to funding is not always the best way. We always honestly inform them that some investment ideas, some loans that they might get on the spot are not always good for them. In a very precise way, in a joint dialogue, we find consensus and we can carry out a specific investment, but in a safe way for the client. The 7-year-long experience of funding young farmers has given us these key conclusions. Basically, it's a win-win strategy. On the one hand, banks have very good clients who are increasing their resilience thanks to capital or interest subsidies. On the other hand, banks having the guarantee can better allocate their capital. For 1,000 euros without the guarantee, you can generate 1,000 euros of loans. 1,000 with a guarantee, you can generate 5,000 euros of loan. So this is the scale we are talking about. What are the limitations? We could ask ourselves this question: why the proportion of loans for OPEX finance or for food and agri is 10 times higher than CAPEX funding? Well, it's about risk and volatility. My predecessors have talked about it. We will not go back to it. However, the demand which is generating by our clients, the demand for loans, this stems from the way they operate. And so our business model kicks in, and this way we can share our perspective and we can combine it with their perspective of this day-to-day activity. And this way we can adapt funding to the challenges that they face. One of the reasons that has been presented to our clients for a long time is that they often ask not what kind of a loan they can get, but what the bank will do when it gets tough. Knowing financial law, we can maybe not create limits, but we simply explain that the flexibility of the financial law is not yet there, and we cannot offer this or that. So the conclusion from the 7 years of our experience is that new generation of clients requires a new generation of financial instruments. So to allocate it realistically, to create such instruments, in fact, we need 3 elements. First, every time you have to begin with the client's perspective. This perspective is known by the banks who work with a given client. Then you have to see that we have almost 2,500 cooperative banks in Europe. The food and agri industry is very diverse, and this is the basis of its resilience. And we should also note the fact that a very diversified market also decides about the resilience of the entire economy. Then we all have to combine it with the need for flexible loans and flexible contracts. And I would like to stress that this year we've noticed certain openness of financial supervision to talk about the need to change the way financial laws are being legislated in order to stress that the agro-business model is not an SME, it's not a natural person, but it's about financial flows. Financial flows of farmers as clients of banks are different and are more volatile, and they require different risk assessment. How we can do it? We can always share it. Allow me to add that the share of bad debt, lost debt that we cannot recover is on the level of 0.23%. So it is a very good target for banks, very good customers. We just need good business partners and the right terms and conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And now, Michał. You have no pressure on you.
Dzień dobry Państwu, Michał Siwek, BNP Paribas. Ja też...
Good afternoon, BNP Paribas. Thank you for inviting the biggest bank financing farming in Poland. I also represent the biggest banking group in the EU, very active, very much present in the food production industry along the whole value chain. Well, moving on to specifics. Well, Jacek has mentioned that we are also a rather old institution, so to say. We've had a continuous activity in Poland as regards also support for agri and food production. It's also more than 100 years. We started as a Polish farming bank. Those who are from Poland, you know the history of Poland is a bit difficult, but in brief, communism, state-owned banks, then we were a part of Rabobank Group, a fantastic experience as well, and now we are a part of the biggest European bank who also is trying to make sure for the food and agri industry to grow in Europe. In the Polish context, I would like to add, it's not on the slide, some beautiful stories from our farmers, our entrepreneurs from the farming industry. 30 years ago, it did not look like this. This is fantastic work of all these people. We've had two fantastic examples, Anna, Łukasz. There are more people like them, and huge respect for them. I've been working for this industry for 23 years, and these stories are really fantastic. Huge respect to them. We see it in the numbers as well, the economic success of the farming industry in Poland. BNP Paribas, we are the biggest bank. Our share in farmers' loans, 24%, 1/4 of the market is us. Speaking of the number of clients, approximately 80,000 customers. We are present in all the industry segments, small, average, and also really big. We are also present along the whole value chain, processing, retail, because farming basically ends with retail, right? What is worth stressing is that we see, in the context of the success of Polish farming, we see that farmers need loans, especially speaking of bigger farmers, where we see the continuity of the business is that they are running it in a very well-planned way, that we see that the share of deposits is growing. The credit apps were designed differently. They were more leveraged. They no longer need this leverage so much. So the definition of a young farmer in our bank, this coincides with what you've seen before. 3 major elements, continuity in business, experience, and it would be good for the volatility of production not to be too high, not to change the business model. I have 1 more minute. Jacek did not say that we have the biggest share on the left-hand side. During the break, he promised he would mention it, but he didn't. So BNP Paribas for Agromax, this is the biggest share, to show you the scale of our activity. And then middle of the slide, you see 82% went to young farmers, so those who are below 40 years of age. So this shows, I will keep on stressing that. We say why young farmers are important. Well, we are actively searching for such clients. This is our future. This is the future of the safety of the food industry. And young farmers are those who are we are very much interested in. We're searching for them, and as it has been shown before, it is for land purchase, equipment purchase, machinery purchase, and as you can see what this money is being spent on, well, above all, it's land purchase. Lisa, I think I saved on time.
Thank you, Michał. I saw the stress. I could feel the speed of the Polish getting faster and faster. No pressure from me. It's only because I want you to ask questions.
It's about me, not about you. So.
It's about the audience. I want you to ask some questions. I've got piles of papers of questions, but really you are in it. You are the people who are the stakeholders from all of the varieties that we saw right at the top in the Slido. So have you any quick, concise questions for our panel?
If not, maybe I can be an icebreaker.
We have.
All right.
We have a question here.
Dzień dobry, Magdalena Wachnicka-Wiska. Ja reprezentuję również sektor.
I also represent the banking sector, the Bank for the Protection of the Environment. I do not really have a question. I would like to. Well, I wanted to share a quick comment from me. What I've just heard basically makes me share this comment with you, this reflection, so to say. We should convince young farmers to look at their farms in such a way that they could define what is their potential for growth. Not only directly connected to production or animal growing, so that they could see what they have available, and so that they could really think through how they can increase the profitability of their farms. And allow me to say that what a farmer has available, this is a great source of energy production. So energy production element, which may appear in the farm, is very much to be used. Łukasz has already opened himself to this broadly understood energy transition. You also mentioned photovoltaics, right? And more advanced solutions, because there was also energy storage. You have hen houses, you want to have more hen houses. So in the long run, you might think of having a biogas plant, a farming biogas plant that would allow to produce more energy, to sell this energy, and to use the debris of chickens and to have the to have circular economy. So we are looking at specialized tailored funding for really concrete investments, and this way we are looking at revenue but also at costs connected to a specific investment. And the instruments that you referred to, these are the instruments that are helping to provide collateral for this type of investments. And so this would be very much welcome. That's a comment from my side as a bank who is specializing in this type of investments. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much indeed. And if we can get the microphones moving fast, because we have so little time, we're over time actually, that would be great. So thank you very much for that comment. So potential for growth, how one quantifies that, I don't know, but I'm sure you can have conversations with people so that they can put that down onto the equivalent of your Excel spreadsheet. There we go.
Dziękuję bardzo. Ewa Bańkowska.
Thank you so much. Ewa Bańkowska, Microfinance Center. We are a regional network of microfinancing institutions. My question to Jacek, above all, In reference to the slide with logos of institutions who are supported, is there a chance, and how big is this chance, for this slide to see the logo of the institution of microfinancing? We've heard in this room there are farmers who are not so interesting for banks, but they still need funding. They need to purchase land and so on. When can we expect other logos on the slide?
And we did see microfinance come up on the Slido as well earlier on. And I'm viewing the word microfinance in the same way as a micro farmer in a way. They're kind of like at the edges. So that excellent question too. And you're going to answer it concisely.
To bardzo dobre pytanie, bardzo dziękuję za to.
Very good question. Thank you for that. We are very much open to open up the network of our partners and financial institutions who offer our products. Well, right now these are banks. Believe me, every time if we were to do it with other institutions, us as BGK, we have to create special methods to assess your work and so on. But we don't say no. We started working with banks only. In the meantime, BGK was the first bank in Europe, or the first guarantee institution in Europe which created guarantees for leasing. BGK was the first institution to create guarantees for factoring. So we don't say no, but we have to take a closer look. I cannot say when, but I take it into account.
Ale jeżeli zaoszczędziłem trochę czasu, to chciałbym też tę moją obligację, którą wyraziłem podczas przerwy w tym.
However, I would like to stress the commitment I expressed during the break. Michał, thank you. Congrats to BNP Paribas for using the biggest volume of our AgroMax guarantee among commercial banks. Thank you, Łukasz. Congrats to you for your bank to use our guarantees as regards the global volume, as regards cooperative banks. Thank you, Jacek, also.
Thank you. Very, very kind of you to acknowledge people on the stage, in fact. And do we have any further burning questions from the audience or comments? Comments or questions? One more. This will be the... Oh, OK. Two quick ones. We might take them and then let them hover in the air, because I may need to move on. So, OK, 3 comments. If we can take the 3 comments, but they may not be answered, because we'll take the 3 comments and then we'll know who you are. If you can stand up.
Dzień dobry, Anna Suchoń, Uniwersytet Adam Mickiewicz.
Anna Suchoń, University Adam Mickiewicz University from Poznań. 2 basic questions. The first about problems. What are the major problems of farmers, either with signing the contract and then with payment and fulfilling all that they have to fulfill, and also about the future? What will be your offers, and will there be offers for associations of farmers? Because according to the research that my students are doing, we have 700 different associations of different type of farmers, but once they've used the funding, they have problems with consecutive investments. Because in fact those associations, organizations are also important, and also about processing, maybe more loans. So we have EU funding, but not everyone can fulfill the criteria necessary.
Question. We haven't got time to answer them, unfortunately, but I wanted the voices to be heard so that all the questions can be lodged, listened to, the voices heard and noted by the people who can answer them in the drinks reception later on. There was a question here, or a comment or question. Oh, yeah, just as long as you, yeah.
All right, yeah. So, good afternoon. My name is Casper Hol from the Rabobank, the Netherlands. I had a quick question for the 2 gentlemen on the right. Commissioner Hansen started this off this afternoon by saying that over 50% of loan applications from young farmers is being denied by the banks. I did not recognize that percentage personally, so I was just wondering what your experiences are. But apparently, not for now, but then maybe over drinks.
Well, okay, maybe I'll take quick answers, if they're very quick. And one more question somewhere in the middle. I saw a hand go up somewhere in the middle.
Witam, dziękuję za głos. Jestem młodym rolnikiem.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I'm a young farmer. It's a pleasure for me to participate in this debate together with all of you. I have a question to people from financing institutions concerning bank guarantees. When you have the guarantee, do you require additional collateral like mortgage or other type of collateral? Because this instrument is not so widespread and not so well known. A question to also cooperative banks. I'm happy to see representatives of cooperative banks because it's thanks to those banks that the majority of farmers can continue their investments. And also taking this opportunity, I would like to congratulate Łukasz on his achievements. I know very well what you've been through during all those years. You have to give up a lot, a big effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for your comment. I'm completely aware that we're over time, so I'm going to go to the yes-no question. Is it true that 50% of loan applications are denied? Yes or no? And what is the percentage?
I don't remember right now, but I don't recognize as a real, let's say, systemic issue. No, it's much less.
Okay, that's...
For us, it's not a problem. The level of or percentage of the denied loans are below 2%. Why? Because our business model is, as I said, but the relations between client advisor and client
is very strong.
Yes.
You have a very strong tie. And another quick question, because it echoed what the lady from Croatia said earlier, for guarantees, additional collateral, that seems to be an issue.
Tak, to może ja się wypowiem, aczkolwiek to nie jest do końca pytanie do mnie.
It's not entirely a question to me, but us as BGK, we do not give such a condition. We offer the guarantee, and then on the policy of a specific crediting bank, it's up to them to define additional collaterals. There is total freedom. The banks decide about the policy. They have their own loan granting policy, if I may suggest something. If there are too many collaterals in one bank, well, keep on searching. In one bank, we had 9 logotypes on the slide, but in fact, there are a lot more banks. But speaking of some limitations, one comment from my side. Within our guarantee offer, we've had several products. One of them was InvestMax guarantee with the, thanks to the guarantee of the European Investment Fund. This is for farmers as well. There is one condition there that the financing bank, except next to our big guarantee, because this is 80%, can only ask for a power of attorney, a collateral, no mortgage, and so on.
Thank you so much. I know that this active conversation wanted to be had with all of you.
Tak, jeżeli mogę skomentować. Oczywiście...
Yes, I congratulated the organizers for this panel. This panel was way too short. This is one only comment. I would love to hear more questions and be able to answer those questions. We'll go to any place in Europe to do that.
Well, you know, there'll be a feedback form tomorrow, and we might have to have a little show just with your name on it. And you can thank you very, very much to the panelists. Wonderful job. And so now to our next panel. Thank you so much, Rachel. We do have a great organizational team here. I am in the best of hands, and so are you as well. And I must say a thank you to them as well. So massive congratulations to brilliant organization. So next panel, and the last panel before we will have a wonderful evening, hopefully together. It's just an 8-minute walk from here, but you won't be able to get in if you don't have your badge. So do remember to keep your badges with you so that you can gain entry. Now, this panel discussion is going to be on building scalable financing ecosystems for young farmers and co-investments. So please welcome to the stage Sébastien Bouvatier, the Deputy Director for Competitiveness, Directorate General for Economic and Environmental Performances of Enterprises, Ministry of Agriculture, France. So welcome to Sébastien. Arnaud Rey, Head of Marketing and Product Offering at Agriculture Department at Crédit Agricole, also from France. Tjaša Perkovic, Head of Financial Incentives Division at the Slovenian Regional Development Fund. And Christian Bock, Managing Director for the Rentenbank in Germany. And we also have Sebastian Stenz, a farm manager from Germany. Thank you all so much. So perhaps just for those who don't know you, you can give a short introduction of yourselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll speak.
You can speak in French, of course.
In French for my presentation. But, donc je travaille.
I work for the Ministry of Agriculture in a directorate in charge of implementation of CAP funds and also support to agricultural projects. In my team, we are in charge of different items, but mostly of investing and of generational renewal, which is very important. But overall, we're in charge of investment. Arnaud? In France, we really know how to do agriculture. We're not so good at speaking English, so I'm going to speak in French. So I'm in charge of the agricultural department in the Crédit Agricole, who is the second largest European bank behind BNP Paribas. It's the first cooperative bank in the world, the largest in the world, really, with this cooperative model.
I work at the Slovenian Regional Development Fund. And we understand regional development through incentivizing through different programs like agriculture products. We finance agriculture products, SMEs, municipalities, and also non-profit organizations. So very different, let's say, beneficiaries and stakeholders.
Thank you very much. Christian?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Christian Bock. I'm from Landwirtschaftliche Rentenbank in Frankfurt. We are a development bank for agriculture, agribusiness, rural area, and sometimes a little bit more renewable energies, which is a really important part for agriculture, for the farmers. Our main business are loan programs for farmers and agribusiness and all these other investments. And we also promote innovations for farmers and for the agribusiness.
And Sebastian.
Ja, guten Nachmittag, sehr verehrte Damen und Herren.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy that I too can speak here today to share my experience. I'm a young farmer from the eastern part of Germany, from Saxony-Anhalt, and compared to Anna and Lukas, who have already told us more about their experiences as successors, I could perhaps say more as a successor who's just starting in the business and is actually faced with the challenges that the other two were already faced with in the past.
Actually, Sebastian, because it really is important to hear the voice of the young farmers. So firstly, do you have any thoughts or comments on what you heard through the course of the afternoon so far?
I think I can answer this in English. Actually, I'm very pleased and happy to see that there's that kind of development in the sector that actually I feel seen, you know, and I feel that the farmers, you know, I feel very privileged coming from Germany, inheriting a farm from my parents, having all the securities to have access for a loan, and I'm happy that that we see that the people coming into farming and trying to settle down as a farmer get the chance to get access to financing. Yeah.
Succession was one of the words that we've heard come over the course of the afternoon as well. Did your parents want you to inherit the farm and continue it, or did they know it's also very hard work and it might be a struggle?
No, my parents never forced me to get into farming. But as Mr. Lee said, you know, who wants to be a farmer? Why would I become a farmer? I can actually answer this for myself. You know, working with nature and creating a product that is healthy, that has great quality, and creating an existence by that for a family to live and get along. That is what drives me.
And so then, thank you. And of course, the theme is also about financing for all of the needs that are multiple and continual needs. You're sitting next to, I was going to call him Mr. Rentenbank, Christian Bock. So you've got a collaboration going. You have been helped by Rentenbank. Can you tell us about this?
I can tell you something, some stories about our business in Germany. So I think it's a little bit different to other promotional banks, to other banks here in this room. We are a public law institution, and we have a guarantee from the state, which helps us in our refinancing situation. So we have the same rating than Germany, AAA rating. So this is our core of our business model. So our loan programs are cheaper than the banking loan programs, which they have. And we can give some interest subsidies in the loan programs from our own earnings. So that's a core business. And for young farmers, the last year we have, I think, nearly 600 million euro new loans only for young farmers under 41. And we have special programs for female founders or for female successors, which is a really important point this year, the year for women in agriculture. And our CEO is a woman, so she brings us under pressure to do this job. But one point for us is to help and promote innovations in agriculture. So I think it's really one of the most important things, especially for young farmers like Sebastian. People they are high education, and they want to work in a modern environment. They want to have a sexy job in agriculture, not in an old farm, not in old situation. So all these things, technology, new business models, animal health and welfare, that are the points where we can help with our programs. And so in this way, we finance startups with new ideas, invest in venture capital funds. That is our second business part.
And then to both of you, actually, I would love to know, Sebastian, how you found out about the financial products available to you.
You know, the promotional loans of Rentenbank are a key factor to our success. Coming from a farm that was leased by my grandfather, who settled down in the former GDR, he went to East Germany and leased a farm for 30 years, which my father then took over. And you know, we had the chance to buy it, or we were forced to buy it, because we had the choice either to let it go or to buy the farm. And the amount of capital we needed for that, and it was only possible for us to realize that investment by the promotional loan that Rentenbank granted us, and that's what I said in the first place. I feel very, very privileged about that, and I wish for more European farmers to get that kind of access to financing.
Thank you very much. Well, Czesia, you have a whole package, a comprehensive support model that you've designed for young farmers, and it brings together all sorts of things, loans, guarantees, grants. And can you tell us about the rationale behind this model and how you came up with it, conceived it?
Yeah, there was an analysis performed by a study by European Commission and European Investment Bank in Slovenia that set the financial gap of 900 million euro in Slovenia, considering for young farmers and small farms. And that was the trigger for the Ministry of Agriculture to start the development of financial instruments for young farmers and small farms. They approached Slovenian Regional Development Fund, I believe, in the beginning of 2022. The development process was quite long, let's say, because the most important part and which triggered the success of these financial instruments that we know today was communication with the main stakeholders. So the Ministry of Agriculture was aware of the financial gap and wanted to boost generational transition of mostly family farms to young farmers. And they wanted us to focus on sustainable investments and organic farming. And then there were young farmers, of course, which are well organized in Slovenia and very demanding. They knew exactly what they need. And that was, they wanted to be able to buy land with the funds, with the loans. They wanted to, they said that the costs of taking over the farm are also high, so this, they expected it to be eligible costs. And they wanted an innovative product. So, of course, we, and that is how the financial instruments in Slovenia were born, by communication and by financial instruments that were tailor-made for the beneficiaries, therefore young farmers. And it is really interesting to see that since they had part in developing the financial instruments, they are really using them. So the ministry
But that's a very important point you've just made. Because of the very strong collaboration with the stakeholders, they know exactly how to access them because they've helped to design them, in fact.
Exactly, they designed them together with us, and it's also their financial instrument. The Ministry of Agriculture invested 20 million euros, and Slovenian Regional Development Fund, as an implementing body, we generated two funds out of it, 10 million for microloan fund and 10 million for guarantee and grant fund. These are the microloans, microfinancing, the beneficiaries for microfinancing were small farms and young farmers. It was expected 50% of the funds for small farms and young farmers, but actually over 70% is used by young farmers. And the 10 million euro guarantee and grant fund is divided into two compounds. 70% for capped portfolio guarantee and 30% for interest rate subsidy and capital rebate, so non-repayable part of the guarantee fund. And loan capital provided from Slovenian Regional Development Fund in the beginning was 27.5 million euro. And this second financial instrument is called soft loans with capped portfolio guarantees, subsidized interest rate and capital rebate. The funding agreement that we signed with the Ministry of Agriculture allows us to reallocate funds between the two funds and also to change this ratio 70-30 according to the demand.
So the flexibility is inbuilt.
Yeah, it is exclusively demand driven. So as per today, we have about 6.5 million in the microloan fund and 13.6 million in guarantee and grant fund. The ratio also changed. It's 75% meant for capped portfolio guarantee, 25% for the non-repayable components. And loan capital from Slovenian Regional Development Fund raised to 40.5 million. So, big success.
Thank you. We'll come back to this because I just want to hear the voice of Arnaud. Crédit Agricole is obviously highly connected to farmers, always has been historically. You also have built a model which is holistic, it's integrated, you have a voice with the farmers. So can you tell us how difficult it is to build a model like that?
Alors oui, effectivement, le Crédit Agricole est...
Yes, indeed. The Crédit Agricole has been in existence for 140 years to finance agriculture farmers, even though now it's only a smaller percentage of our overall turnover. But in the 35 regional agencies, 35 are still managed by farmers, 35 out of 39 agencies. And 8 out of 10 farmers are customers of Crédit Agricole. So it means that our positioning and our role within the French agriculture means that we can have a holistic approach. We're trying to cover all financial needs. That's the first job of a banker. But we are also supporting farmers for different dimensions, and there young farmers must be supported when they need to steer their company. We see that more and more those farms are becoming companies, and they are no longer just a family farm. And we need to support farmers in managing risks, because there are risks and threats. If you are a young farmer and you're asking for a long-term loan for 10 or 20 years, that means we need to be working together for 10 or 20 years. So this farmer should be able to have still something in 10 or 20 years to pay back the bank and to offer guarantees. So as financiers, we are advising, we are consulting, and we are giving advice on risk and other topics that are important.
Sebastian, and I'd love you to tell us a little bit more and tell us, in fact, what is the INAF scheme? The INAF scheme.
Oui, donc effectivement.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to talk to you about an initiative called INAF. It's a national initiative for French agriculture. And yes, I'm going to carry on that. I've prepared a few slides. The aim of this instrument is to strengthen support for new farmers. In the past, they were really relying on grants that were being given through the Common Agricultural Policy at a regional level. And as a complementary measure, we also wanted to go beyond grants. We wanted to give also the option of guarantees. That would mean that we could add additional support to farmers. So why? Well, you know the reasons already. They've been mentioned before. It means that farmers can already have a trusted relationship with their banker. They can have higher or lower capital needs, and they can have and often they have no business track record and no accounting records. So we started a partnership with the EIF, and we would like to thank the EIF because it has taken a few years to get to where we are. Initially, we had a first phase, and during this first phase, we needed 99 million euro. They were part of the national funds for the French agriculture, 54 million euro, and then we had the EIF that used the Juncker plan and gave us 45 million euros. It meant that we were able to build a first portfolio of new loans that was just above 1,100 million euros from 2020. That was successful. We did that with 4 banks, 4 banking networks, including the Crédit Agricole. And given its success, we decided to continue. And in a second phase, we added 171 million euro from the national contribution, and our total envelope was 270 million euros, which meant that we were able to leverage that to lend out 3,100 million. So it was quite significant. The main interesting element of this portfolio is that we have a public guarantee covering 80% of each eligible loan, 80%. And the guarantee is free for banks. There is, of course, a cap. Any loss is limited to 11%. And once the cap is exhausted, any additional losses are borne by the banks. Now, the aim is we don't want a product that's just interesting for banks. We want a product that's also interesting for farmers. So we want to have a benefit for farmers. At the end of the day, we want to offer more competitive interest rates. We talked about the collateral as well. That can be reduced, and banking fees can be reduced as well, for example. So there are different ways to use those advantages so that farmers can have improved access to credit. That's the main aim. I just wanted to give you here the main figures. The figures show you the situation in December 2025, and you can see the leveraging effect that was mentioned in a previous PowerPoint or previous presentation. We can use the public contribution to start our portfolio, and you can see all the projects that are linked to the loans. I'm talking to you about this system because we are aiming it at young farmers. They represent nearly 3/4 of young farmers. We are not exclusively working with young farmers, but they are our main target. In the previous slide, you saw the end-of-year results. Here, things have speeded up, and we can see that we are not at 1.2 billion in the envelope that we use, but it's more towards 1.6 billion. This is the number of loans that we have given, 1.6 million euros. You have different statistics then. On average, the loan is 126,000 euro. I'm not going to detail all the figures here, but what I can tell you is what are the loans for? Well, mostly they want to buy physical assets. And as a minority, it's land. So the aim is not to buy land, really. That's not the main priority, but it can be used for land. But we can also give liquidity thanks to those loans, because we want to help farmers to buy equipment, for example, so that they can be operational on their farms. And what is also interesting is that even though the guarantee is limited to 10 years in duration, the loans themselves are not limited to 10 years. So banks can go beyond the public guarantee, and we can even loan or lend over 15 years. At the end of it, we have a system that has found the right balance between the three stakeholders. We have the funds, we have the banks, as I explained, with quite a high level of guarantee, because we have also national guarantees, but such national guarantees are only up to 50 or 70%. And also the product is free. And that's quite rare. That's very interesting for banks. It is free for banks. And it is also interesting for farmers, because we can transfer the benefit of guarantees to farmers, so they have improved lending conditions. I haven't given you all the details, but for the member state, you can steer it differently. We have steered it towards young farmers, but also to innovation and transformation of the agricultural landscape. Thank you.
My apologies. I didn't realize that you had pre-prepared presentations, and I went directly into questions. However, if you don't mind, because of time, I would love to open the floor right now because I think that might ignite the conversation and you can ask them direct questions yourselves. So if you have any questions in the room, feel free. Ah yes, we have our young farmer at the back.
Merci beaucoup pour la présentation.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
The representation that today in European Union, the agriculture is international. I met already on the coffee break someone from Spain. I'm seeing someone from Germany. I see testimonials from Poland. And what I see that is missing in our environment is the collaboration between countries to learn from others. For me, France is an example of a country where I'm looking actually the ideas, but I know that we have 9 countries that would like to join the European Union. So the question is how we will collaborate in a different perspective that will come soon.
Collaborate, you can hold the microphone for a moment. Collaborate in which way? To have the same templates of financing?
In templates of financing, but also knowledge sharing. We're missing this aspect as well. As a young person who graduated and graduates around here, farmers as well, we have Erasmus, so we can stay integrated. But what we have for farmers, I've heard that someone from Spain would like to have collaboration and visit some farms in Poland. We see testimonials from Poland. We see some examples of financial instruments from France, from other countries, how they work. So yeah, this for me, it's something that we can learn. And we're looking for a solution how we can invite people to become farmers. Well, people would like to travel. They would like to stay they're raised in an international environment. So we're missing this aspect in today's agriculture, I believe.
So I think 2 things there. You're adding the idea of an Erasmus farming scheme, and you're also potentially adding tourism to your farming portfolio. Perhaps. We'll see. I'm sure we'll hear from you again. We have another question here. The microphone is just next to you.
Maybe another question. I'm also a farmer, a beekeeper from Poland here, and I really recommend the EU CAP network. There are a lot of meetings and possibility to collaborate with different farmers, and their newsletter. There is a 3 or 4 special for innovation, and another project is Erasmus Plus for farmers. Start 2 years ago. I think about.
So Erasmus Plus for farmers already exists. Wonderful. I see a lot of nodding heads from the people who may have organized it in the front row here. Any further questions or comments?
Moi, je veux quand même dire une chose, c'est que
I do want to say one thing. We say that there is a European agriculture, but it's really closest to the territories, closest locally that we can decide things, we can know things. When we talk about agriculture in France and in Poland, really all the bankers who are in the room here are very locally implanted. They do know the local farmers, the local men and women, and that's very important.
That voice earlier as well from people talking about the close connection to the north of Poland and the close connection both with the farmers and therefore the financing as well. Have you found this as well, Czesha, in Slovenia?
What, excuse me?
Just the close connection, the conversation. I mean, you've said it already with your slides, that the formulation of the models with the local people helped develop something that there therefore was huge uptake of.
Yes, yes, of course. This is, I think, the main reason why these financial instruments are so successful, because in the process of developing them, the beneficiaries were included. And therefore, the benefits were very well and in detail explained to them. So they knew exactly what are the benefits of financial instruments, and there are really a lot of them included in these ones that I presented. We even developed an Excel tool with which they were able to calculate the GGE, therefore benefit in euros. And they're using it. So it's somehow, this is the, I think you can see it also, the benefits that were transferred to beneficiaries, therefore young farmers. They, of course, demanded the maximum transfer of benefits. And they can ask for a soft loan that amounts from 25,000 to 1 million, no fees, interest rate fixed 0.5 or 1%, repayment period up to 20 years, grace period up to 5 years, disbursement period up to 2 months after completing the project, collateral for the remaining 20% risk part, capital rebate up to 5%, eligible costs kept at 10,000 euro, and of course eligible costs that I already mentioned that include working capital, land acquirement, and also the transfer of the farm, so farm acquisition costs.
Thank you for showing us that template, and we can see how good it is for the farmers, actually. It's just wonderful and highly incentivizing with a long-term vision there as well. Christian, turning to you at Rentenbank, you have introduced something called the co-lending principle.
Yes, it's our principle. So we are, as promotional bank, we don't work together with the farmers directly. So we have only the possibility by law to work together with other banks. So we are not in competition with these banks. We work together with all banks in Germany, saving banks, cooperative banks, and if you want, so thank you. We work together with all banks in Germany. So with, I think, more than 900 banks. Our most important partners are the cooperative banks in Germany, the DZ Bank or the local cooperative banks, and we work together with BNP Paribas. Lease Group is a really good partner for us. And so the co-lending principle, I think it's okay for all sides. It's good for the farmer because he has his house bank since generations sometimes, the same cooperative bank, saving bank, and we can use for our loans the same collateral, which is hold from the house bank, and you can use this collateral for a Rentenbank loan, so you don't need new contracts with these. For the banks, it's good to get our loans. Our funding situation is better than the bank's funding situation, especially for long-term funding. And for us, it's good because we are one of the biggest bank in Germany. It's, I think, number 12 or 13 with nearly 100 billion euro total assets. But we are only 500 employees, so we can only work in this business model together with the local banks.
Thank you. I'm opening up the floor again to a final few questions to end the panel discussion. Any thoughts or comments? They're quite quiet, actually, at the moment. I think we're all in need of a celebratory drink afterwards, but I think you wanted to say something.
Oui, merci de me redonner.
Yes, thank you for giving me the floor again. If there are no questions, I want to take this opportunity to say that when we heard the questions on cooperation and how we can work collectively, well, there is the European level, there is the national level, and then we have the banks and the farmers at the local level, really on the ground. What is important in that is that we must find the right balance between what needs to be framed and the trust. When we implement public policy, we tend to be quite strict, and there are good reasons for that, because we are concerned that the public money is not going to reach the right beneficiaries and that the public policy is not going to be abided by. But at the same time, that brings about some complications, complexities, and we heard it this afternoon. The instruments should be flexible, sufficiently flexible so that we can find a right agreement between the banker and the farmer, because maybe the project is not going as it was planned originally, maybe because things have changed somewhere else. So we do need to have tools that have that leeway. In ENAF, we do have that flexibility because our tools are not that precise, but when we see the outcomes, we see that we've managed to mobilize funds that benefit farmers and young farmers in particular. So my main concern as a member state thinking of the next programming period in the EU is that we want to go further. We want to go with better financial instruments and better support for young farmers, and we want to do it with enough flexibility with the right balance of what needs to be framed. So at the ENAF, we were on the periphery. We were quite free to build it as we wanted it. We, of course, worked with the EIF, but we were as close as possible to the needs of bankers and farmers. And what is interesting in this example is really that. And the question I have in mind is how can we develop that? How can we work more broadly with this for more countries and even for more people in France, so that we can have this system for a little bit longer in time? So that's my main concern. Thank you.
To your own question, how would you answer that?
Well, how can I answer my own question? Well, my request is this. It's a double request, and fundamentally, beyond the grants that have been at the historic core of farmers' support, as we saw in France anyway, I would like to have more space for other financial instruments so that ENAF can find its place in the EU, but more regularly and with greater visibility, because we did a first phase, then we did a second phase. So that's my first request. We want to be more sustainable. And my second request is to be flexible enough so that we can see the development of a greater diversity in the financial instruments, because the needs of French farmers are not the same necessarily than the needs of Polish farmers or German farmers. So we need to have enough flexibility to adapt to national contexts. And also, we want to support farmers throughout the life of a project. We want to have farmers at the heart of everything we do. And at the national level must grant us more operational flexibility.
Answering your own question, I think there's a round of applause coming your way. It was very heartfelt indeed. Arno, I'm just turning to you because I haven't heard enough of your voice on this panel yet. And I remember that, of course, Chasha showed us some wonderful figures of loans there. And you also have some innovative tools. You even have a zero interest loan.
Oui,
Yes. Two words struck me here. The need to be innovative and simple. And in the Crédit Agricole, we launched recently two instruments. One is a zero-rated loan, so of course it will be up to 50,000 euros, because we can't just give money away. But it will help a farmer to settle, and it will reduce the load on the farmer when the farmer is starting and needs a lot of capital. So we saw that 1 out of 2 new farmers in France used that process. It's by up to 200 million euro. And parallel to that, we started another innovative fund that is directly linked in the own capital. So in the top line, we help the farmer that will then repay after 9 or 10 years. So it is a different borrowing capacity, the amount is more limited because we start for 10 million euro for the year to come. We're going to see what's going to happen and if the different farmers want this product, if they understand it, if it's too complicated or not, and then we can grow it if farmers understand the product and accept it.
Final thoughts or questions from the floor? Oh, I'm going back to Sebastian. I haven't forgotten him. Miglena is exactly right. We need to hear the final word from the young farmer on the panel. Ah, oh, well, we want to see your slides.
Yes, if you want, I can show them to you.
I hope they have lots of pictures.
Yes, I do.
Excellent.
Of course I do.
Brilliant.
Let me just come to the front, I think. It will be easier for me. And I feel more comfortable to do this in German because I just want to hit the nail on the top because what I'm saying is just coming from the heart. And I hope that's fine for you and I may excuse myself. So, wie ich ja eingangs schon gesagt hatte.
Yeah, I've just said it. I'm very grateful for the words of Anna and Lukáš that gave such a great account of how they faced their challenges when they took over the farm. And I'm at the very beginning of taking over our farm. It's a phased-in approach so that I will start as the head of our farm very soon. And I'm faced now with all these challenges. And I would like to talk about that. So my path was not as clear as you might think looking at this picture. I was raised on a family farm in Western Germany. So that's where I grew up. And I've just said that my grandfather had a farm in the previous GDR and leased a farm at the time. When I was 16 years old, they told me, you have to decide how everything will be handled from now on. And I said, yes, I would like to take over the farm, but agriculture is something that you have to put passion into. And that's the reason why you take over a farm. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I will leave my home, I will leave my home region, and I will take on this challenge and really commit myself to agriculture and also face up to the financial challenges. So now we're at the midst of this handover, and that will be accompanied by an external consultant that supports us. And of course, we'll take on also the different viewpoints also from my siblings. So our farm at a glance, we are doing organic farming. It's a arable land of 726 hectares. It's especially corn and oilseeds, but we also have grassland. It's very recent, so it's one of the first steps of diversifying our farm. We have 10 water buffaloes and landscape conservation. We have one full-time employee and my parents and I, and also seasonal workers. So what's the next steps? Where do we want to go to, and why do we need capital? Why do we need access to financing? So first of all, we need to expand the current processes because I really want to invest in new pathways, which is why we, for example, now invest in seed propagation, and we also want to start organic broiler production. At the same time, many things that we have to invest in, but nothing has happened in these past years, we need to take on now, such as grain storage, grain processing, and of course we also need funding for special machinery and precision farming equipment. So we need to modernize our farm, and of course we need to keep up with the market development. At the same time, the farm that we are managing is quite old. It's also a monument, so it has to be preserved. We need to invest money in that as well. And like the minister said at the beginning of this conference, the investment costs have risen exponentially. And we have much capital in our machinery, in our buildings, but we have to expand our business further. And in order to do that, we can, of course, say we can scale it up and we can try to reduce our production costs, but that's not my understanding of agriculture. I do not want, like you just said it, to change my business into a large capital-intensive business. I want to be agriculture. I want to be a farmer, and that means that I also want to have niche products. For example, niche machinery, and of course that entails very high costs, very high initial costs. And whenever a bank hears the word niche, that makes it complicated because there are no references, for example, and that means also for the bank that everything will be more expensive. But that's what we need capital for. And we have fewer and fewer workers in our region, so that means that the capital intensity per worker is a lot higher than before. So in order to make the same amount of work happen, we have to invest more. We have to invest in our machinery, and at the same time we have a lot of capital that is still in the sale of the business. So as you can hear, it's very difficult. It's a difficult situation. And so the co-lending principle that we just talked about is very important because we have advisory services from our bank that knows us, that knows our farm, and where we can work together. If there are certain financing gaps, then they have some sort of patience because they know how our business is conducted.
So that's extremely important and will continue to be so, because I'm convinced that if two generations work together, as is the case at ours, where my father and I work together, well, there's two families that need to live off the farm, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of creative might, because you can use the experience of the ones handing on or handing over the farm, and you can combine that with the creative power of the new ones, and for this, you need financial capital, and that should be the foundation for a healthy future farm. And that's why I'm very grateful for the privilege we have in Germany, that we have the availability of financial capital. And I wish for this to continue being the case, that we are offered a funding product that is accessible, that is long-term, that is flexible, but that also offers interesting interest rates, thus ensuring that we can have a return on capital. Thank you very much.
And thank you to the whole panel as well. I think we couldn't have ended on a better talk, actually. We started with the young farmers, we've ended with the young farmers. And thank you to all of you as well who make it happen and who really work on the ground, literally on the ground, continuing those conversations to make sure that you have the models that work most effectively and continuing the conversation here today. So thank you once more to all of you. Thank you. So to summarize everything that we've heard today in 5-10 minutes, Hayes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my job to wrap it up before dinner and drinks. I think first of all a big thank you to all the speakers, panelists, to our moderator. You made it very interactive today for all you participating for a rich and inspiring discussion. Special thank you to Vice President Vigliotti from the European Investment Bank, and to all our colleagues for the excellent cooperation and organization. I think I'd like to really underline that as well. Yeah, it's very nice that we have ended with such such an inspirational presentation of a young farmer. The insights and ideas that we have heard today on how we can help farmers like Sebastian to invest, innovate, and thrive. And we started today with a bit of the politics, the commissioner, vice president, the minister, I think we've learned today that generational renewal in agriculture is not just an agricultural issue. It's really about economics, it's about territories, food security very much, and therefore also very much strategic for the future of Europe. But what was really added and became clear today is also that it's a social issue. Giving access to finance, the title of the conference, led us to stories about improving lives, building families. I didn't expect to see so many wedding pictures today. But that's very nice, and that means it becomes really close. And I think that's important for especially for those like me who work maybe in capitals and institutions that work on policies at very high level. And we learned today how important it is to go down. We heard it from Crédit Agricole also just now, to go down and to really make sure that the financial products are fitting and are made together with the customers at the local level. So in terms of takeaways, I want to say three things. I think first of all, I think we have all learned and seen today that the next generation of farmers is not lacking ambition. And Elisa, your question, why do people want to become farmers? I think you've had so many answers today, and so much energy was put into that. So that's really, really good. Anja started with a story this morning already. You know, it was all about modernizing farms, adapting to new technologies, improving the sustainability of farms, diversifying income sources, strengthening resilience, climate change, market shocks. We've heard all about that as well. And in the end, to build a business that can also be passed on to the next generation. But that ambition alone, of course, is not enough. We need, and we've learned that as well, public policy, financial institutions to play a role, to create the conditions to allow the young farmers to establish themselves and grow with confidence on modern farms. I liked, Christian Beck's, your comment about that farmers want to have modern farms with technology and not old stuff. I rephrase a bit your words, but I think the message was quite clear. So that's one message. I think the second element is agriculture is not like any other sector, and financing solutions must reflect the specific characteristics. We presented the results of the roundtables with banks and young farmers that we had, and generational renewal requires really financial products that are adapted to the young farmer and specific needs. That was the conclusion. So then we're talking about longer maturities, grace periods, flexible repayment schedules, reduced collateral requirements, particularly linked to the guarantees, as we heard today, interest rate support, simplified procedures. All that can make a difference for the ambition to become a reality. So I think that is key, that we have that we focus on also on developing the specificities, and that we do not see them as special privileges. They are the practical response that we need to develop to the challenges faced by young farmers and new entrants in agriculture. And the third message, it's about financing pathways, not isolated financial products. And that's what we heard in the panel discussion on investment needs and ambitions. It's not about just a single instrument, but it's more about a combination of tools. We heard about young farmers that need support throughout their investment journey, combining finance, risk sharing, public support, advisory services. And I think what I really liked also about the presentations that we had from the various young farmers is that they really showed their journey with the list of dates, the different investments, the different steps they took. And I actually also want to applaud them for showing that so openly, because in the end it's your business, it's a private affair, right? But showing that openly, I think, is really important to clarify how this works and what steps you need to take. And at each one of these steps is a difficult one. Like we just heard from Sebastian, finance at the limit. How can I make this next step happen? And that is difficult. So Anja, Agnieszka, Rudolf, Lucas, Sebastian, thank you very much for your contributions today. Maybe a separate applause for them. And then later on this afternoon, we heard the Polish experience, compelling evidence of also the value of how common agricultural policy, financial instruments, and guarantee schemes can help. We heard very inspiring examples from France, Slovenia, Germany, showing that holistic approaches are important to help young farmers, provide young farmers with a tailored solution. So I think with all these things that we have seen, and now I really wrap up, we have reason to be optimistic. It's always good to end on an optimistic tone, but I think it's really true. I found there was an optimistic tone today. We heard stories of innovative financial solutions, public-private cooperation, successful experiences, and indeed the direct on-the-ground demonstration of how this can happen. And I think there's also, in a way, a sense of urgency. 12% of farmers is a young farmer. The number is going down, right? The number is going down. We have more and more. So we need to really turn this around, and therefore this conference and bringing all of you together here to see how we can help young farmers invest is really important. And I hope that the conference, the dinner, the drinks, tomorrow's part of the conference will really help also in creating those bonds between all of us to take this topic forward. I think I have covered all the elements I wanted to cover. The thank yous I've done. I think the logistics, yeah, you start to applaud, but this applause that you now start, can we do that for the interpreters? Because I've listened to them and they've done a great job today. And then I really hope to see you all tomorrow morning. And in terms of the logistics for our dinner, I hand over to those who know. Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hayes. Thank you.